game number 1. Let's see if Malphite continues to be prioritized here, because I was surprised at how much he was banned yesterday.
And then when we saw him, it was like, what is going on? Until that one big team.
Yeah, I was like, okay, well, this is
okay.
pretty weak, except that one time where they had the wombo combo, yes.
It helps that all 4 of them kind of stood on top of each other, and the Malphite was able to press his R button at very close range where nobody could flash. But regardless, Malphite is still pretty strong for that ultimate from the jungle. But we're still going to see, you know, the usual suspects here banned away, except Malphite. So far, Jace, Varus taken off the table.
Yeah, Varus is so flexible right now. His ability to be played in solo lanes. So just do not want to let that one through. Might be banned for the entirety of the series, especially both of these 80 carries on the cards today. We'll see if that Malphite is banned here. They did opt for second pick here, DN Supers, so is going to be first pick to BNK after this final ban. So will it be Malphite? Will it be, I don't think it's going to be either the Azir or the Orianna, so those will be traded. If you take the Azir as BNK for Vikla, you have to know that the Nocturne Orianna combo is in waiting on red side for the Supers. So a heavy cost for that, and they will opt for it anyways. I don't think that's necessarily what you have to play as the DN Supers, but it has been one of the most common responses.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a good shout. There's still a lot of strong stuff here in game 1 of a Fearless Best of 5. But Orianna Nocturne is right up there in terms of duos that you can pick.
Here's the other one. Yeah, the Jarvan is the second best ball carrier, great engage. A little bit more power in the early game, can actually gank reliably, whereas Nocturne relies on level 6 most of the time. We've seen some niche scenarios where that has not been the case, and he's actually gotten stuff done in mid or bottom lane. But generally speaking, the Jarvan is a lot more powerful early, despite the ease of combo for the Nocturne. And this is a very common response to Xin Zhao, but instead going for the classic
he is here.
Poppy Pasta.
Yeah, Malhouse isn't with us today, but a little shout out to him from BNK Furex, one of the teams he always supported back in the Live Sandbox days.
Yeah.
Talking about how the 2022 roster was one of the best and stuff like that. But looks like we're just going to get a Vi in the jungle. Also pretty top tier.
Pretty strong. Does limit the viability of a lot of scaling carries here for Duckdom with a draft like this. See what he decides to opt for, as they will have the counter pick for the Renekton. Could go for the Kennen, but that's kind of fallen out of favor quite a bit. And instead, we'll try to get this high prio Yunara pick, which is not extremely safe, but safer than a lot of other 80 carries with her dash in ultimate into the Vi to buy some space.
Yeah, I think this is a pretty good call because you get priority on your 80 carry, and even if they ban 2 top laners away, you can pick, you know, some sort of tank that can deal with the weak side of the top side and provide a front line alongside of Jarvan to have the damage dealers of Yunara and Orianna, which should be more than enough damage with the hyper carriness of Yunara, especially in this meta. So kind of like how they've set themselves up.
Still want to have a punishing lane here. Might see the Alistar ban and trade. Alistar also a great ball carrier for the Orianna. And, you know, the Bard ban makes it a little bit easier to get through lane. It's been one of the strongest pairings for the Yunara. Even though the win rate on Alistar has been quite low, I do think that it's still quite powerful right now. Seems like the most safe ban. The Gnar was another one I thought of. This Gnar has kind of really risen in priority throughout the second week of LCK Cup, and now moving into Super Week here, we're like, okay, this pick is back. It's dealing with a lot of our strong bruiser top laners quite effectively.
Yeah. I think it's the most common response we see to the Renekton, so I think it's a very good ban, as Ezreal also going to be taken off the card, so don't want to let Diablo have that. Diablo has played a lot of Lucian as well, so I do wonder if they'll give that a look.
Yeah, Lucian could be quite strong here. Lulu, another pick that works really well with this draft here for the Supers. Even though it doesn't really give you hard engage, Wild Growth empowers the Jarvan engage and helps you win lane and makes the Yunara safer into the Vi. So that's something they could consider here for sure. Maybe not in this spot, but if they don't take it here, it might be taken away from them. So a bit of a tough call here whether they want to counter pick or grab that prio support. They will get the Lulu. So I actually like this better because now you kind of feel like your bottom lane is super safe. You've got a strong combo with your Orianna. You have additional engage for your Jarvan. And you can see Diablo's not too happy about having to lane into this Lulu. It is super frustrating. They don't have the Bard available either. And I think the Supers have set themselves up really nicely in this draft so far.
Yeah. A big fan of this DNS draft so far, and Diablo's smile did not look like a happy one. Though it's weird to say it, but he was kind of frustrated. Maybe
Lucian Nami, Yunara Lulu.
Yeah, I mean, that's just the way it goes, right? We always come back to square one here at the LCK, and Lucian Nami is back, and it makes sense. You know, this is right in Diablo's wheelhouse. He's going to go from that.
I think they had two great options here. They could either go for the Scion to just have a great front line and some additional setup and engage, or they could have gone for something crazy aggressive and scaling to say, look, we're really going to outpace you later on and go for like a gangplank or something like that. Not really Dudu's favorite, but I think the Scion really fits the bill here. In terms of picks that you get in terms of S tier, I feel like the Supers got everything they want in this. They utilized red side incredibly well. They still managed to get the counter pick for the top lane while also getting the priority Lulu, as well as getting the Orianna combo in the jungle because the Azir went over. I think that Diablo is an incredible Lucian player, and this composition explodes to the mid game here for BNK, and that is their playstyle. We mentioned already they have an identity. It has been clear since this org really joined the LCK, and that has remained true across multiple rosters. And because they are the stronger team, I want to give them credit and say, I think they can pilot this, I think they can pull this off. But if I took the nameplates off, I'd feel like the Supers really were the winners of this draft.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there are definitely some power picks and some nice ways to get their comp going as well. It's very aggressive. It can make stuff happen off of 1-2 items. So I feel like they still have ways to win this game for sure. But I do agree with you that the synergy in the DNS draft does look a bit better, maybe a whole lot better actually. So definitely good stuff from them, but it looks like we're ready to hop into game number 1 of BNK versus DNS. All right, game 1 as we hop into this best of 5. A lot of people in chat are always like, is it a best of 5 today? Why did the format change? This is called Super Week, where we do best of 5s between relatively evenly matched teams in hopes of making fun best of 5s. And then, of course, starting next week, we get right into play-ins and then playoffs here at the LCK Cup. So
it's definitely a top 3 question I've seen in chat this week, alongside what happened to Otacon and where's Faker.
Well, if you go to YouTube chat, that's definitely a thing. Yeah. Good old where's Faker. I do wonder how this game is going to go. You know, how aggressive is BNK going to be? Because it's been a lot of old LCK action, which is lack of action. Not a lot happening. Bro and brew, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of jungle babysitting happening in the bottom lane, where we just have a 3v3 for a little while, and then no one really dies, and no one really builds a massive lead, which I think is pretty normal considering how quickly AD carries get money in this meta with the role quest. I am most curious about what the mid game looks like here, as we will see an aggressive play from Diablo at level 2, getting a heal. Well, I'm looking for the mid game explosion here for BNK, right? First item Lucian, the Vi engage is set up with the Renekton. You know, I'm talking about like Herald, second Dragon fight. That's where this team needs to pull ahead. In lane, Diablo is a psychopath and will continue to just aggressively trade.
It's very true.
I mean that as a compliment, by the way.
Yeah. It's something you see pretty common on Korean fan signs where they say crazy in Korean, but then underneath in parentheses it says positive.
Yes.
A positive way of saying they're crazy. And that is very true. I mean, that's part of what makes him so good, is that he's just so proactively looking to take aggressive trades and generally has the hands to win those trades. Whereas a lot of players in pro, especially in the LCK, will just kind of, you know, handshake or just play to their win conditions and stuff like that. Diablo isn't about that. He's like, I'm just trying to fight.
Yeah, Diablo's the kind of guy who says you miss every shot you don't take. And he takes all of them.
Yeah. That's why he has a lot of fans, even, you know, before he kind of declared that he was actually a really strong AD carry, even before he was showing the good stuff. People really liked him for his aggression.
I personally am a huge fan of his Ezreal in particular. So this will be a bit of an interrupt. I like his Ezreal because he has showcased such a massive ceiling on this champion. I appreciate the ban that we saw from the supers in this first game for it. We saw his build that he went with last time, the Endless Hunger, and just basically having insane cooldown reduction and doing everything that is possible to do with Ezreal, and hitting every single skill shot and playing aggressively without using his E, and then using his E to avoid a skill shot and going further is maybe something was going to happen here. Closer has been really putting the pressure on in this lane.
Yeah, you can see he's got Vikla low, but unfortunately he kind of ran out of mana, which leaves you in a rough spot where you don't really have the ability to continue to trade. So Vikla's actually going to stomp his back as well. You can see Closer wanted to get some of that mana back. Sion not going to have a fun time early on, but eventually, hopefully, for his sake, he just becomes a brick wall. Doesn't really care too much about the Renekton.
Yeah, the ward is up there in the top river, so he can very easily push up this far with full information about whether Pyosik would come over there or not. Obviously knowing that Pyosik took the top scuttle. Barrier employed.
Yeah, he's getting in there once again. The heal also going to be utilized here.
Don't think that's
BNK.
What they wanted is Vikla.
Now Vikla is maybe just dead, but look at Raptor, the perfect time he gets there to save his mid laner and save, more importantly, Vikla's flash.
That was incredible timing there from Raptor. Quite the intercept. Pyosik could have tried to sacrifice himself there, but it would not have been worth, considering both mid laners have their teleports, and just an extreme risk to go for it. Raptor just saves the play, saves his mid laner's life and flash. And now, with the control they have on the bottom side with that kind of poor trade that happened earlier with the barrier, going to be able to start this dragon off. They have full prio down there. They have top side control as well, and get the favorable teleport in mid to even grab a plate. BNK's early game working incredibly well thus far.
Yeah, I mean, you said it before, they have a personality as a team. They like to be proactive, and even from behind, sometimes they do it a little bit too much and get themselves into trouble. As Raptor, he actually had 2 smites for that first dragon. He desperately wanted to take it early on in hopes of rolling a good Drake so that they can really snowball this game off of their mid game. So really does feel like BNK, not only do they have an identity, but they know exactly what it is, and they want to play around it as much as possible.
Pyosik will come over here and exert dominance on the scuttle. The worst part about playing jungle is when you have to use your ability and then you can't interact with the other jungler. And that Pyosik's like, well, saw you charging that Q. I think I'll take the scuttle crab and clear that vision. The game plan here for BNK is to get incremental advantages until you hit that big mid-game spike when your first items start to come through. And thus far, the mid lane was going very well for Closer, but otherwise kind of everywhere else. Incredible leads here, and now after that failed gank in the mid lane, Vikla has stabilized, got his teleport off, he has ult now. It's a lot safer. Still down in farm a little bit. You can see the gold lead there to Closer, but nothing to really write home about. And it's not been a very boring early game either, despite the lack of kills. We've seen some real aggression here. Diablo still has his barrier. This is something that Duckdom and Peter just have to, until that barrier's back up for Duckdom, play around, play defensively, so this prio is in the short term permanent. That's probably not the word to use, but it's going to be this way for a little while.
Now.
Permanently for a little bit.
Not forever, but just a little bit permanent.
It's medium term permanent.
Oh man.
It's like you can get a tattoo removed, but there are consequences.
Yeah. Oh, level 6 maybe? No, he's just going for an aggressive trade. I thought he's very close to level 6 actually. Diablo getting low, he has to flash away, finally gets it, but just dies instead. And the calculation was just simply not there.
Duckdom's barrier is back. It should be a double.
There's no way that Kellen gets anything, and the double comes through. Oh man, that's real bad. That's when the aggression does not pay off.
I think just miscalculating his level 6, right?
Yeah.
Like, he must have thought that he was going to hit it as he went in for that, so would have been able to drop the culling, because without the culling, he does not have enough damage into the Yunara that has her Q stacked. Like, that's the thing about Yunara in lane, especially when she has a Lulu, is she kind of wins a lot of exchanges. She presses Q, and there's the polymorph. All the damage is gone in polymorph, and Duckdom does massive amounts of damage while that Q is running. Gets the flash follow there, even with a great bubble here from Kellen. And the Duckdom doesn't have his barrier right now, but ultimately doesn't even really need it. Flashes here. to make sure he gets the kill on the Lucian, gets the second there. So this is a big problem for the lead of BNK, now kind of washed away.
Yeah, it is definitely a big problem. You need that Lucian to be online, to be hitting his spikes as aggressively as possible, winning trades, putting the Yunara behind. Instead, we get the exact opposite, and they are going to love that. As, yeah, they went super aggressive right before Diablo hit level 6. They hit that melee minion, and they must have assumed that that would have been enough, but he was just like a sliver away, like one ranged minion would have been enough.
Oh, this could even get worse here, although...
Yeah. Junglers doing some babysitting, I suppose.
Might see Pioshik look for Vikla here, but Vikla has flash and ult. We may lose both of those tools.
Oh, Vikla's running right into him. There's the flash, there's the dash. Pioshik is still going to use his Cataclysm to force that.
I think that's a fair exchange there for DNS. Happy with that trade. And now Vikla will be flashes for a potential follow-up gank. Closer did not use his ult. Still has that for some additional pressure, and that's going to be a back. And now Closer can further that CS lead again here. Play dimension went over to Vikla earlier, but he will not maintain a gold lead after that gank. A lot of measured aggression in this early game on both sides, but I think the failed all-in from Diablo is kind of the consistency versus the aggression we were talking about. It's just kind of like the caster narrative coming true right before our eyes.
That is the way it goes generally, as we do have Raptors starting up the grubs. And this dragon is also about to spawn in 40 seconds. I felt like they were trying to, you know, really go for all the dragons, try to stack them up as quickly as possible, but I do wonder if he'll be able to get over there.
That's
challenge it.
My man who had his best individual year building Luden's first, by the way. Instead of going for Blackfire Torch, like cowardly Orianas, who don't want to do the big boom boom.
Like every other Oriana.
I actually like to see the Ludens first, especially when you have a draft like this with the Jarvan setup, and it is going to help you with your trading early as well.
Yeah, and you're the sole AP source, essentially, so you really have to do some good damage. There aren't a lot of tanks on the other side, but you do want to make sure you cut through the health of the Renekton and the Vi at least, and the healing, of course, of the Nami. So here comes Raptor once again, and he is here for the dragon after getting the grub. So this is what I was looking for, to see just how aggressively he'd be trying to take these objectives, and it looks like he will get it.
Lots of vision in the brush for DNS. In the bottom lane, really making sure that he does not get a pass down there to come over and make something happen, but they're not going to be able to stop him from taking this dragon right now. It will be double dragon.
Dukdom stepping up right behind those very weak minions in front of Lucian with culling. It's very dangerous. That smite also a bit dangerous, and it is Chemtech Soul, which it's not the worst for this comp, but it's something we always talk about, that they were trying to get probably the Hex Tech, you would imagine.
Yeah, it won't really hurt that they also get the individual stats from both of these initial elemental dragons as well for this comp. I think this is pretty good for Lucian, Vi, Renekton. Renekton, I think, going to be the biggest winner of the Chemtech Soul for sure. But would have liked something like Hextech, you know, given the amount of resources committed to this. But it's not like DNS were getting big objectives on the other side. They ended up with 0 out of 3 grubs as well. So all 3 objectives going to BNK with this comp that is strongest in its early to mid game. So feeling pretty decent, you know, could have been better like you say, but at least it wasn't Ocean Soul. I think you would probably really hate that.
Yeah, I think that probably would have been the worst role. And on the side of DNS, you know, we talked about BNK and their win conditions and how they're playing to them very nicely. I do feel like DNS are doing that as well, as Slurkle is going to miss, and that means that Diablo can just walk this one off, but it's very clear that DNS are not trying to fight early. Outside of, obviously, when Diablo forced them to fight early, and they got a double kill on their Yunara, but especially after that, looking for not too much else, although the ult will come in here, as now Vikla flashless and in a really rough spot. There's really nothing that Raptor can do. He went in for the play, but the fact that Pioshik was there just makes it another kill for DNS.
Yeah, and this makes sense if you know the enemy jungler somewhere else. Meanwhile, down here, if you know that the enemy jungler isn't there, it makes sense, but remember, Vikla does not have flash, so when he goes for that play, if Closer flashes it, and his jungler is there, you don't have any play anymore. And you already used your dash aggressively, and you're just dead. So All in failing again here for BNK in this early game, and DNS are really running away with this.
So Raptor is going to get the red buff. The question is, does he get out alive afterwards? He's going for the Orianna, and there's the disengage cone. And yeah, we saw some really bad disengage cones yesterday, so that one didn't affect me that much.
Yoshik had flash. I thought maybe he was going to try to do something crazy there, but I think they're pretty happy with the end result. Yeah, that was a really cool setup from Raptor. I know you hate when I, break down the disengage cone, but he did, use the ultimate to taxi towards it and get away. It was like not a freebie. As speaking of freebies, after closer flashes this, Vikla cannot get over the wall, and it is a freebie given over to closer. And Raptor ultimately still gets his red buff, gets away. But it does feel like that's kind of the end of the good news right now.
Yeah. I think just the fact that DNS are 2K gold ahead this early on is really good news for them. We saw that Duckdom hit his Kraken Slayer pretty early before Diablo was able to finish his first item and was taking very aggressive trades down there. So now about 1,000 gold ahead is Duckdom already in this game. And now Diablo trying to go aggressively again, but instead he's just kind of dying. And Kellen's like, I'm trying to heal you as much as I can, buddy, but Duckdom and Peter are winning this 2v2.
Yeah, the good old Imperial Mandate Nami just doesn't hit like it used to in these trades. And he went for Stormrazor. And, okay. This is an interesting situation.
Yeah, Cullen comes in, but a lot of it actually shielded. So Duckdom pretty okay with that. And look at the damage he's doing to Kellen as well.
Yeah, at this point with Kraken Slayer, you're going to out DPS unless the burst is there. And with the polymorph for this Lulu, it's so hard to actually make it happen.
It's really on a knife's edge, this trading here in the mid lane. You could see that Pioshik was right there with Cataclysm as well and Flash. So everybody just trying to take aggressive trades. Now Raptor and Vikla are going to start this Rift Herald.
Yeah, the Rift Herald is going to be their 4th objective of the game if they do secure it after this trade. So you can tell the game plan is trade aggressively, look for objective, and they are looking for it.
All right, Pioshik going to miss the flag and drag, and we got a TP coming in from both sides, but Duckdom's not there yet, so at least they are able to push the team off, as that combo is not the one we want to see, and now Closer is just dead on the right side of this fight, and that's going to be a second kill as well on a Pioshik and BNK. They're just kind of letting DNS fall on their face, and they're picking up the wins.
I understand the idea about trying to fight for the objective and not giving over a 4th one here to BNK. They ultimately do, while also giving over 2 members, but trying to set up the Scion ult with Orianna was a bit optimistic at best. And Pioshik also unable to really find anything here. Takes a ton of damage. The Nami ultimate is wasted, but watch the try. Yeah. This one was not it. Closer's also isolated himself completely on the other side of the fight.
Also, I was watching Pioshik. He was being chased by Clear, and he was desperately flashed away, flagged and dragged into the pit, tried to hit the Iron Smite, but just died right before it, and just 0 impact, essentially. It was a very desperate kind of force.
I think when your Yunara is 2-0, it's really rough to give the Herald, but sometimes you got to make that call, and they just were not willing to, and that really stings, as looks like they are going to lose some plates here on the top side in exchange for their first Dragon of the game here. Individual Chemtech Dragons will feel okay for DNS because they have the Orianna, but at the end of the day, yeah, that's true. At the end of the day, though, I still think getting plates for your Azir after that last exchange, plus nearly getting the mid tower, and nobody's home down here either. And so I don't really think that DNS feel too good about the solo Chemtech Dragon when they're losing everywhere else. Pioshik maybe can defend his buff. Actually doesn't have smite, so never mind.
So he just kind of left. I thought he realized that the red was still up and he may have, gotten in there, but he just kind of went to his Krugs instead and missed it entirely. And Raptor's like, oh, okay. I guess I'll take it then.
Yeah, it was kind of weird because he came back. Yeah. I thought he was just like, oh, I don't have smite. I guess I can't get this. And then he left and then returned. But a lot of errors here suddenly, and now BNK back in the driver's seat.
Yeah, and Kellen is taking the brunt of this damage. He is going to flash and then die, but here comes Vikla looking for the sweep, catches 2. Duckdom, though, kiting it out pretty nicely. Does get queued by Raptor, though, and that is enough CC for Diablo to pick up that kill.
Yeah, hard to quantify who really won that exchange, but I think I'm going to go with BNK. They get the mid turret right afterwards. And it's a kill for Duckdom. He picks up his Fiend Hunter bolts from it, but I mean, Clear is also just straight up alone, continuing to build a massive experience lead over his opposition there on the bottom side as well. This is cool and all. Like, I really like the attempt here, but you kill Kellen. Wild Growth has to be employed. This just gives Vikla all the agency in the world. And even though he doesn't hit Duckdom initially, ends up getting a ton of value in a result. Duckdom is large enough to trade one back, so it feels okay, and their composition is scaling, right? But BNK really showcasing, I think, a lot better coordination when it comes to these really scrappy fights.
Oh, yeah. I think that's putting it lightly, Wolf, but you're hitting the nail on the head for sure. That, you know, DNS, I gave them credit. I thought, you know, they were taking it slow. They understood where their bread was buttered and how they had this very fed Yunar, and they were able to scale. But instead, we did see some big aggression that did not pay off. And BNK will love that. Have a couple of Drakes and 1,000 gold in the lead. Duckdom is still extremely strong, so this hasn't really gone anywhere. But Diablo's caught up a little bit, and the whole team of BNK obviously is caught up in a big way. And as you mentioned as well, the side lane beginning to be a problem for DNS.
Yeah, he's half a level up. Thought he was actually further ahead than that, but still picks up Shojin on the back. Has a significant farm advantage over Dudu right now. It's really about these next few objectives here. That's going to be the longevity for BNK coming through to where they pick up a big enough lead, because 1,000 gold right now is not enough to say they've really got full control, even though they have a lot of map control. And it's, you know, I think gold leads them in fake, as KT really showed us last week.
Yes.
But a gold lead this small means less than the vision that comes with it here for BNK, right, and how they've been able to play the map. And what I see with my eyes, and I think what you're picking up, what we kind of just briefly discussed, is do we trust DNS to play this game out based on what we've seen so far? Sometimes it's not about the goal, it's not about the scaling. If you cannot muster a team fight with the tools you have, and even though it was an amazing draft, the execution has been a little bit poor here outside of getting some freebies in the early game. So let's see what happens when we get to this next Dragon fight here in 90 seconds. If they can hold their own there, if they can pilot the Jarvan flag drag, Orianna ball, can look a lot better for them.
Yeah, DNS just simply have not passed the eye test yet so far in this game number 1. And, you know, imagine if Diablo didn't go super aggressively right before level 6. Like, this could have been a very one-sided mid-game to the side of BNK, and I think it probably should have been. But, you know, they're still spiking pretty hard. We got 2 items for Renekton, for Azir, 2.5 for Diablo. So definitely still very strong and still looking to fight. When you see that they were looking for more gold instead of that Chemtech drape because they know that the individual ones are fine. When you really want to spike now.
Yeah, when you have the Sork Pen tier 3 boots, and we might have Pioshik going in, so wait a second, but you have tier 3 Sork Pen boots and you're going for a Shadow Flame and Ludens as your build, you need to hit the combo, right? It needs to happen. And if you miss it, like we saw with the Scion earlier, then your build means nothing, and you're not doing as much with your extended Qs. You don't have as many of them if you went for, you know, the Boots of Lucidity and the Blackfire Torch build. So it is kind of a make sure that ball gets carried to where it needs to go kind of situation here. And the proof hasn't been there yet. And now they don't have a lot of map control, right? Again, that the gold lead means less than the lack of vision, the lack of prio on this Dragon. They're setting a potential trap, though. Diablo going way up.
Diablo is not scared of anything, as we can see clearly here. Just going to run straight into them, take a bunch of damage, but he knows he's got backup with the Raptor there. As Dudu is going to TP in, we are going to have this fight for the Chemtech Drake. It looks like Pioshik is going to spot Raptor. And at the end of the day, you know, the healing of the Nami comes in, and Pioshik is still at half health, and maybe even less. As Vikla's coming on over, Clear is a monster right now. The Polymorph comes in onto him. Look at the damage already. A massive sweep, going to catch 2. And down will go the Lulu, as now Duckdom trying to kite this one out. But again, it just feels like he's the only one doing anything here on the side of DNS. As Duckdom, he is not going to provide his own front line. Goes down immediately. Down goes the Scion, and BNK are really crushing him now.
Yeah, that might have been the backbreaker there in the mid lane. Gold lead moving up to 3,500. Even though Duckdom wasn't caught by the aggressive play there from Vikla, just so many of his frontliners were, and he's just not able to kite it out and play it alone. And it's a numbers game they can't win. As Pioshik is really the one who eats the brunt of the damage here. The Polymorph is used onto the Renekton. That buys some space here for Duckdom. If he gets stunned there by Clear, it is all over. There is like nothing they can do. Instead, he gets Wild Growth and tries to kite it back and then push back through. But now he's like, Closer's used his buttons. He went for the burst Orianna. I cannot actually do this anymore. He still steps too far forward and dies. And that is the Dragon. That is the turret taking a ton of damage there, as we do have a pause. But I'm sure this will be resolved soon.
Surely.
No doubt. Surely.
It's not like when pauses happen with Wolf, we get these long, drawn out.
Is this a Diablo spill?
Yes.
He was too locked in. That's a Diabloism I can get behind. When you're so locked in that you spill your cup.
This is actually good news, because as long as, you know, it's a spill that can be cleaned up, it's something real worldy. It's not like, oh, you know, maybe there was some weird bug and we have to get like refs involved and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's a very like tangible, real world. Like you can physically see that it's fixed right now.
We're basically done. You know, like we might get him a new mouse pad because that looks a little.
Might have to dry a little bit more, but I mean, you can when the computer wizards have to go in there and we have to go through Chrono Break, you can't see it.
I swear he just smelled his mouse.
Well, you got to see if it's got coffee on it or whatever. That's water, I think, though.
It's water. Water doesn't have a smell, Wolf. Maybe it's something else that's, you know, clear.
I mean, it could be like carbonated water that has a slight like lemon or a lime flavor to it, I suppose. Either way, this will be resolved shortly, as we mentioned. Just a second pass on the dry. I'll take this pause over somebody saying they need to go to the bathroom any day.
Absolutely. Or any kind of like League of Legends pause, because those, they can get a little...
Now, if you spill again, though, you can't spill twice. You get
Wolf
one
only gets
spill. You only get one spill per
for the whole best of 5? Or,
yeah, for the whole best of 5.
All right.
You spill twice, we might lose a ban. That's not in the rules, by the way. That's in the Wolf rule book, which has not yet been implemented. I'm looking for, like, by 2030.
He's still lobbying for this. We all tell him it's not going to happen. But Wolf, you know, can't stop him. Just like you can't stop Diablo. Man is a monster. How often do you think you spill things on a, you know, weekly basis?
Me?
Yeah.
I can't
like drinks and stuff.
I can't remember the last time I spilled something. The last time my cat spilled something was probably about 2 months ago.
Which one?
Bori.
Oh, it's always Bori.
Bori has this thing where, I don't know if she's getting a little bit older, just has a little bit less spatial awareness of her tail knocking objects off of my small table. I have a small side table where my controller and my phone sit, and she's
sometimes
cats
do that on purpose sometimes, though, right? They're kind of like spreading out their existence to like take their space, you know? I don't know.
I think Bori is just, she's just not paying attention. She's knocking over my coffee cup.
I guess it depends on the cat. Yeah.
So we are going to get his mouse mat swapped. We have gotten the update, so... Because... Let's take a look at how this happened.
Replay of the spill. Oh,
a near save as well.
Yeah, you could see him saying pause there as well. Saves the mouse immediately.
It happens.
It does. I
think
I sometimes spill stuff at my desk.
I think players having the ability to drink liquids during a match is absolutely necessary. Maybe we could implement like a sippy cup or something. So like some sort of non-spill cup would be the only thing we could really do to prevent this type of thing from happening. So I can empathize with them a little bit. Everyone spilled something on their keyboard, on their mouse pad. So
yeah, I think it's some good merch we could also sell. You know, the LCK sippy cup for every gamer out there that doesn't want to have to deal with potential spills. Just get the LCK sippy cup.
Oh, I got the update. He did not have the lid on. I did not see that.
I thought I saw the lid. The lid like went flying. And then he tried to like put it on.
That's afterwards. What I thought, but I don't know. I got the update on the prompter. There's no lid.
Maybe production needs to take a look at that replay again. We need to know.
Maybe the space will break it down.
Is Diablo a lid kind of guy?
All of that pause, everything that happens, we reset to a situation where the DNS players had to wait as well for all of this while Dogtom has no flash and barrier. He was killed at the end of that fight. Long respawn. They get the damage on that mid turret. I think they got one plate there. Yeah, they got one plate in the mid-inner. The soul point was taken, and their gold lead goes up to 4,000. They have side lane control, vision control. So Diablo was a little bit upset that he had to dry his mouse pad and get a new one, but I think otherwise they're feeling pretty good about the game state here, just to let everyone know. Apparently the lid was on, so yeah.
Yeah, G-Sun was incorrect. So, yeah. You know, we were paying a little bit better attention. We saw the micro mechanics of his lid on the cup. Very important. But yeah, it's kind of interesting that the pause came in right then, because before the pause, it was kind of a close game. Now, after the pause, it feels like the game is somewhat over.
I mean, just look at the minimap and look at the aggressive vision here. There is very little that DNS could do but clear waves here. And with Lucian on 3 items, soon to be 4, it looks like about halfway towards that IE, they can just do Baron. And that is, in fact, what they're going to do. Because if you try to come over here, you have no vision, you really are fighting blind here. You might as well turn your monitor off and pray. A bit facetious I'm being here, but Pyosik will come over and they do stop the Baron. But look at Clear. He's got teleport and he's taken this whole turret out, so it's just a macro play here from BNK.
You know, he has so many plates in him. Like, it's actually incredible. Oh, the burst damage is just disgusting. Duck Dom is like, well, I guess I don't get to play the game anymore. Has a giant shield, but that's a little late.
Yeah, they got Serpent's Fang, and so he's ready to cut through those anyways. And I think with this Azir, they just can do this without the Lucian, and he is going to come over here and rejoin. There's the teleport from Clear. He's going to zone Pyosik out. He can deny this Blast Cone.
Yeah, they saw Duck Dom back, and there's just realistically no way as the anti-engage cone kind of happening there. Pyosik not able to get in the pit because of Clear. Very nicely played, actually, as Dudu kind of goes in by himself. He's just dead, and Clear is so gigantic right now. Nobody can deal with them. There's 4 people railing on the Renekton, and he's just like, yeah, whatever. I'll take down Pyosik anyway. And BNK, they get the Baron, and they're feeling themselves right now. They're going in. The Shockwave not going to do a whole lot, although Raptor is very far ahead of his team. And Duck Dom has some backing now. Vikla does get the sweep and kills Peter, but immediately dies as his Azir is it's not looking so great, but neither is this game. As Diablo gets a shield, he's going to go down.
You ever just get a Baron and toss it away?
Just
My
like,
God, Valdez!
out the window.
All right, so I know Degon's listening. That, my friend, is a throw. My God. All right, so they have the control of the Baron. They get the smite here. And now I can understand Clear because he's trying to zone them away. He denied Pyosik's entry. So his sacrifice here is not in vain. They kill Dudu. Now what happens next?
Cover your eyes.
What happens next is out of control. Now, Raptor, this is on him, okay? He's finding out right now about the new crit damage on 80 carries on this patch. And he does not like what he sees.
Riot did what?
The Vikla, he got Peter, but that was a really weird angle. And then the hubris on this man, okay? Consistency versus aggression, right? Not worth. And because the thing is, like, you almost get the kill, but you lose everything because of the risk you took. If he's able to clean them both up, they don't have enough damage to end the game. They may be able to get an inhibitor during the respawn timers, but instead it's a solo Baron on the Nami. By the way, I'm pretty sure the Baron power play is bugged for the old number. I think that negative number is even higher than it actually shows on the UI right now, but just hang out with Kellen and try again.
Yeah. I mean, they could have just, if this were any other team, they would not have done that, I'll tell you that. As Pyosik is going to get away for now, as Dudu's ult is blocked by his own team's Cataclysm. Diablo's just like, yeah, you know, I'm a little bit low, but who cares? As the bubble comes down, Dudu's just dead. Oh, well, maybe he's alive. And Duck Dom actually does a decent amount of damage, but all this burst damage on both sides, it really is on a knife's edge sometimes, as maybe looking at the Chemtech Soul, Diablo's charging into 5 people because it's Diablo.
Yeah, maybe just take the dragon. They are doing that slowly.
Pyosik, no! You have so much to live for. You don't have to do that. There is a Lucian right there. Vikla's like, oh, I meant to dash a little bit more. As, yeah, DNS, they're just kind of, kind of like floating on a floaty in the middle of the ocean, and nobody's here to save them. As, again, another Shockwave not going to hit anything, as Flash comes through from Clear on a Duck Down, but he does get away. As now,
man, somebody clipped that whole interaction. That was wild. The fact that Dudu is the one who eats the wild growth, TP's back into the fight at full health, and DNS lose the dragon, but kind of attempt to both run away, and they were like crab walking to get out. But Duck Dom's like, maybe Diablo does something crazy again. Let's wait and see. Ultimately, still is going to be a win here for BNK, who do end up getting the Chemtech Soul. They get that turret, and they're still in a fantastic position in this game. I think it didn't have to be this hard, but they...
But it was a lot more fun to watch, you know?
They turned up the difficulty on this game.
Okay, Duck Dom's trying to do things. But yeah, if this were any other team, this game probably would have been done already because they played really safe. And you know, whatever. But instead, we get some culture here. Diablo, he'll be fine. He's used to it. But yeah, it's taking a little bit longer. We get a lot more action. And it's been fun. As we do have a flank coming in here, Diablo going to charge in because of that. The flash on forward, but now Ducktom doesn't have his flash, and there's so many people around him. Although Raptor finally gets on top of him and takes him down. Clear also a raid boss, and it's only the Orianna to do damage. This time, though, the Shockwave is going to hit 3. As Closer does quite a lot. Vikla getting low. Dudu going in, providing that front line, and that is a double kill for Closer. It didn't have to be this hard, Wolf.
The polymorph value in this fight was unreal. And I think Diablo, we saw his expression when the Lulu got locked in. And man, I don't know if he... when I watched him, like, I think we know why. But I'm like, maybe we don't, because he keeps going in to polymorph range to try to look for these all-ins.
Maybe he forgot.
Gets hit by everybody, but this time the Shockwave is good, right? Like, Ducktom cannot carry the fight, clears on the flank. This Shockwave hits 3, but Charged Q does not. Closer gets that kill, and then from here on out, another polymorph goes down. Vikla just cannot offer any more damage. Clear is too low, no longer has ult, and they're hanging on. You know, I mean, the gold lead has actually gone down. Ducktom has out-damaged Diablo now, and this Orianna, like I said, you get one big R button, and it was the big one that was able to save them in this one. Not to mention Polymorph, which was pretty strong. It's Diablo's natural enemy. He's like, I'm going to use all my hands. And Polymorph's like, you're a little pony. He's like, but my mechanic. You're a pony.
Yeah.
I don't know what he was actually.
You're a pony. Deal with it. Accept your fate. And he really has had to. And I'm a little bit worried for BNK now. We've talked about how gold is fake. It really kind of is in games like these where they're just wild and all over the place. And there's so much culture. We can't fit everything in our tiny brains. And it just feels like, you know, BNK, they could have just won this game 10 minutes ago. But instead, you know, we might just get an Elder flip instead. Like, this is the reality we're living in. As we also have Baron spawning now, I do wonder if BNK is going to make a big play for that before the Elder spawns. You would assume so.
I think they certainly can if they can get a little bit more controlled vision around the outside of the pit. You can see there is a control ward in there that Raptor will clear now. But I think that alone into this Jarvan who has Flash is not enough to feel secure with your Baron take. You're going to want to have some layered vision around the red buff. And that's exactly what Raptor is trying to help set up right now. In fact, might even look for a flank play. Did not work out for him last time he tried to go for the aggressive ult in. He's in the shadow instead, the pushing Azir. And this is a good macro play where they can threaten Baron while also hitting this turret. Vikla doesn't have TP, but he has enough time to take this turret out. Then they should be able to retreat here.
I like how Ducktom is the front line now. He's 4-item Lunara, 4.5, so he can just kind of, with the Lulu, with the Orianna shield, just kind of run at people and essentially 3 or 4 shot them, so everybody has to respect that if they don't have some kind of CC for him.
This could get weird.
Yeah, Raptor is just going to have to queue over the wall. The Wild Growth gets used.
That was a... I don't think they... don't like that. Don't think that was...
Yeah.
Everything else about that, I was like, okay, this is pretty good for DNS, but... it will be up for Elder, but there is a window here with this wave being cleared out for a potential Elder starting again. As you can see, Diablo started off really well and does have the item advantage here, but it's not necessarily mattering when he gets polymorphed, when he goes for these all-ins. Needs to be very careful.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he's walking the tightrope quite well.
Yeah.
So sometimes he has tried to cut some corners. The greed has been real. He's going to take this blue buff away.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, as long as he can go in and take, you know, short trades and not fully commit, which he does more often than not.
Yeah.
He'll be fine because he has the Nami. They have Chemtech, so they got a couple of Chemtech dragons, so it's okay. It's, again, it's a tightrope. You got to be careful. I'm not sure he knows the meaning of that word, as now Koshik going to spot them out. And this Baron has not been started.
Yeah,
so
Wild Growth is back. Like, Clear just get TP him with the ult. Oh.
Okay. Shut it down.
All right.
Go next. Yeah, okay.
Sometimes you miss every shot you don't take. Like Diablo's motto, you know?
Yeah.
They're trying to employ it. that itself might cost any chance of a comeback here for DNS. Now Duckdom is going to have to do even heavier lifting.
It might.
Valdez is saying anything could happen.
Anything could happen, and I think BNK has proven that as well. Another disengaged cone, but this time calculated, as he does go in and has a way out. And Clear is on the flank. They want to get into that backline and take down Duckdom, but look at all the CC. They take down the Lulu, and Duckdom will hit the floor as well. And just like that, one flank and one play is all they need. They don't need Baron. They don't need Elder. Enough of that. They just want the action. They want the kills.
Like, what? Why? He doesn't have ult, I get it, but just, like, win the game.
Chill out, bro. Like, come on.
He's got ult now.
Okay, well, Closer is going to die, and this game is over, but it didn't have to look anything like this, but it did.
All right. Clean start to the series. No accidents, no spilling of water. And a very, very good aggressive game from BNK. 8,000 gold, the lead on Nexus Explosion. Diablo sheepishly walks out, does not give a look to anybody. I think we all know that he was not happy that he was playing into Polymorph before the game started. After the game, I think perhaps even less so. There were some really big coordination issues that makes us, I feel like, look like liars when we said this team was the better team in terms of coordination and setup, but they had too much of a lead. Their comp was really strong, and Clear had an amazing game. He was always flanking. His side laning was incredible. He ended up getting 6k more damage, but that's not really what this is about. The threats that he had at the back line there were huge. And if Closer has his ult, by the way, if they didn't fail the flash ult combo right before this, that play for BNK just isn't possible because they would have all gotten shockwaved. So they know the ult is down, they know Pyosik doesn't have flash, and they're able to end the game there. But man, this is what the S tier drafts. I can't wait to see what this best of five's got in store for us.
It's
Fearless, baby.
So much worse. I hope you guys are ready.
No, better, Valdez.
Oh yeah, better, definitely. I hope you guys are ready for the essay? I hope you guys can read that. Anyway, it's gone. 1-0 in favor of BNK. We'll be right back.
세게 해도 돼 이거.
아, 나 갈게. 갈게. 오케이.
나 28초.
네, 미카엘 없어서 그냥 보자.
누나라 볼게 이거. 누나라 볼게. 연계해봐.
2호초 얘들아.
누나라 노플.
일로 잡았어.
누나 잡았어.
끝내자.
현대각 보자.
피체 잡아. 나 힐 가능? 피체 잡아. 버프 있어.
안쪽으로
스킬이네,
끝나.
이거다.
안쪽으로 끝나. 이거.
어차피 끝나. 우리 하나 노플 아니야 이거?
나 가인이랑 내가 역각 잡을게, 그냥 세게.
내가 몸 대줄게. 노플.
한 대?
나이스.
Other 8 players are kind of just here trying to stop the trains from rolling in. And this meta, I don't know, it feels very fun to watch. It feels very clean to watch. As we will see a Nico ban here. This time, DN Supers with first pick. So a flip from what we saw in Game 1. In Game 1, I think they wanted to have that Orianna set up with the Jarvan, even though the combos were not as clean as we would have liked. See what their plan is this time around, as the Malphite was ignored.
Yeah, you know, it was always their issue last year when they really didn't find much success was that, you know, they could win early games, they could do the laning phase relatively fine. It was more so when it came to team fighting in mid to late, they just had no coordination. And unfortunately, that's what we saw in game 1, right? We saw them try to utilize one of these duos, these compositions that is relatively easy to play, and yet could not put one decent team fight together. So I do worry for DNS here.
Have you noticed this trend of we leave Orianna Azir up, game 1 we trade, game 2 we do the Rise Talia?
No more Rise Talia, please.
Something a little different here with the Cassante ban. It's still going to be Rise Talia, but with an Ambessa first.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be Rise Talia on the same team with viable Talia jungle. That's what I'm trying to tell you here, Valdez. Now, the Ambessa is a flex, which is really cool for the supers here. They do not have the Pantheon for the Talia since they banned that, so it looks like Wukong Talia is going to be the opt-in, and the Ambessa will go top. This is like the way LCK is played now. Sure, we got Fearless, but we know how this patch works. We know how the tiers go. And so you build a Talia composition that matches the Rise's ability to roam with Realm Warp. The Rise has been winning more often than not, though, and a Bard push up here for Kellen.
Yeah.
I think Bard was a champion. A lot of us thought, okay, only a few players are cultured enough to play here in the LCK, but nowadays, everyone's been putting the hours in. It is just a staple pick, and even someone like Kellen who's not necessarily known for this pick can make a big impact.
Yeah, I think when you see what Keria can do on it, and even Andil nowadays is kind of crazy to say, but Andil has been kind of our second best Bard. He's been great. I mean, Duro is also pretty good at it, but it just feels like support players had to take notice. You know, they had to look at it and be like, oh, this is what you can do on this champ. I need to learn it as well. And I'm excited to see what Kellen can do on it, as Ezreal once again is going to be banned away from Diablo.
I wonder if he's potentially looking for a Zeri angle here with the Ezreal gone now, because the Nautilus ban just kind of screams that. Take away the Alistar here now as well. So it's still open-ended. There's a lot of viable AD carries. We're still only in game 2 here, but I do wonder what his game plan is going to be. They have a decent front line with the Xin Zhao already. Zeri is relatively safe into the Wukong Ambessa. Ezreal would have been the best, and it is obviously the best pick for Diablo right now in my mind.
Maybe just Corki.
Corki is also very safe.
Yeah.
And has an incredible win rate right now.
I really don't want to see Diablo playing Jhin, so I think Corki just kind of makes sense. You ban away the Ezreal, you go for the Corki. It's just the way it's played here at the LCK oftentimes, is Sivir is going to be locked in here, so Duckdom again going for a hyper carry, as now Rakan will be picked alongside of it to go with the Wukong, and they're engaged.
Diablo needs to be conservative with his Valkyries in this game, because you only have one. And there are a lot of CCs here on the side of the supers to lock him down. But I do think the extra safety that it provides here, as well as the additional threat this Rise is going to be, makes this a little bit easier. Now, this, to me, might be a bridge too far to give clear this Kennen pick in the top lane, just simply because it sets up a lot of potential combos, but you don't really have the other tools to follow up on them very well. More like a zoning Kennen, and it will be good in the lane matchup with the range advantage he has there. But once again, I look at these two drafts and I think, wow, DN Supers have a well-rounded one. Yes, I know there's the Talia in the room, and we're all not very happy with how that champ has been doing right now, but it has won a few of the times against the Rise, and they have great setup for it.
Right?
Yeah, won yesterday as well. And so it goes Syndra, much to my chagrin, but probably see that in game 3.
Hell yeah, big fan.
I like the setup here for the Supers because they have the Sivir wave clear in mid. They can play through sides really well. I do think that Kennen, I don't want to say Kennen is gimmicky, but it feels very difficult to consistently get value out of it in pro play unless you have a flank war that you can teleport to. I mean, you can get the shield from the upgraded teleport and get to the back line, but Sivir has spell shield. Not a lot of great ways to kill the Sivir here is my concern, because initially it looked like, oh, this is kind of a dive and pick comp, but it also has a Sivir, and it is Duckdom, and we saw what he could do when he scales in game 1. I like DN Supers again.
Well, we'll see what happens in the play as we hop onto the riff for game number 2. Here we go, game number 2 on the way. And sometimes, as you guys probably have heard us say many a time here at the LCK Cup, the gold does not matter, but sometimes also the drafts aren't what matter the most. And especially after game number 1, where it felt like DNS, you know, they had the scaling, they didn't play to it, the team fights were bad. You know, the draft ended up not mattering all too much. BNK had their own win conditions, they were able to play to them a lot better. And, you know, the Kennen, I actually do like the Kennen, you know, especially if we are going to get Mbessa, Wukong, and Rakan all in the back line. Can be very good for disengage. Has a good lane as well. As we're already getting action trading down here in the bottom of the map.
Well, it's like Ducktom thinks that's worth to barrier there because they're going to get the heals coming through. Kellen has Electrocute. Yeah, that's going to be his second proc. He feels very good about this keystone he's picked up here. And this is very common these days on Bard. Sometimes we see the unsealed spellbook, but in a matchup like this where you really want to be min-maxing from level 1, you can see how much value he gets. The barrier is gone already, so Diablo knows he has barrier advantage to push even harder. Level 2 going to go over to BNK bottom side as well first, so looking like we are just going to see a dominant start here.
Yeah, tries to move forward and dodge, but instead just takes a ton of damage from the Gatling gun and the phosphorus bomb.
Incredible
spacer heal.
Yeah, that was really well played from Diablo. Oh!
Really setting the tone here for game number 2.
I call Worth on that too, to be honest. This is a massive wave. Ducktom is incredibly low.
Now he has to stay. And that's going to make things a bit awkward. I don't know if they can really pressure Maul too much.
They couldn't. I think they should be able to get that plate, right? I'm not going to watch that because we're having a little action up here. Getting the 80 carry quest first was something that, before we really got deep into the LCK Cup, we were like, man, you've got to, it's just the only thing that matters. Better get that plate. But it hasn't really impacted the games as much as we thought it would. Obviously affecting things like solo queue a lot more because there's a little bit less coordination there. But see what comes of this, as they ended up getting a ton of value out of it. But I think, again, Worth, I would argue.
Raptor not going to be seen as he's going for the Scuttle Crab. Nice little trade there from Peter. Kind of get that guaranteed Gleaming Quill in as well. But you can see that Diablo is just looking for a back with the way that he is trading this. And we'll see what he does pick up. And, you know, does he want to go for something like a call, or does he want to try to hit those quirky power spikes as early as possible? Probably just pick up a tier.
Yeah, tier longsword if he has all that money. I don't think he quite has enough for this first back, but that would be ideal, I think. Kellen going to play a little defense here. Perhaps a little offense.
He's like, I want to join DNS. I'm getting over there. I'm joining the red team.
Actually does have the longsword tier, so ends up getting both of those picked up. It's crazy when you think about like pro CS compared to your own games at home. You're like, I don't know if I have enough money on that back. Diablo has the money. He has 28 CS. He is very quickly building that lead. There's the call you were mentioning on the other side, though, for Ducktom.
Yeah.
Which I think is incredibly common in a matchup like this, where you're the scaling 80 carry. You want to basically just farm it out and admit that this lane matchup is not really what you drafted for.
Yeah, Quirky Bard is difficult, and then when you pick Sivir into it, you're just not going to have a good time early on, so that's the way that's going to go. Kellen looking for Peter, looking for more Electrocute procs. Wants to make that damage number look pretty at the end of the game. But we know that Bard is going to do a lot more than that, hopefully.
What's really cool about this Sivir comp, too, we haven't touched on it just yet, is the Sivir ultimate is so good for setting up the Wukong and the Mbessa in team fights, as well as being a scaling option. I think that's why we're seeing so many drafts like this, where it's just go in, also there's a Sivir at the back. That's going to do massive amounts of damage. You're going to be in the blender with them if you get hit by that Cyclone.
The blender, you say?
Yes.
Interesting.
Why? What is it?
Oh, I thought it was a blender, but I guess not.
The blender. You're in the blender.
No, it just sounded like you said blender.
Oh, like blinder?
Yeah, I guess kind of.
Blender.
Yeah, blender. Yeah.
Valdez is very. He's very
particular.
Yeah, very particular about his pronunciations of these.
It's very important. We do have a bit of a fight over the Drake. Also, Diablo is taking a bunch of damage. So Raptor's like, well, I guess this isn't happening. No early Ocean Drake for us.
Do you remember the one of the oldest YouTube series of all time, Will It Blend?
Yeah. Yeah.
Isn't
it still going?
I don't know if they still do it or not. I haven't watched it in a while. But as a high schooler, I very much enjoyed it back in the early days of the internet. I felt very betrayed though when they did the crowbar and then they didn't actually do the crowbar in the blender.
Really?
Yeah, I felt betrayed.
That sounds like an early form of clickbait.
Yes. At least it didn't send me to Rick Astley, so.
Yeah.
Nobody knows what we're talking about, but Blender, you put something in it, you find out if it works. Yeah. We're going to find out in this game.
I assume they know about Rick rolls, though. Because if they don't, I mean, that was just too big of a thing. Even if they were very young when it was happening, or I guess for some, not even born.
Wow, that's
also
crazy.
Also a possibility. As we are going to get some aggression here once again, Duck Dom.
Spell shields it. Not going to care too much. Not going to get hit by that rocket. Not going to get hit by that rocket. And Peter comes down. And the dragon is still sleeping soundly.
Yeah, it's definitely a bit different in this game. BNK were trying to get those dragons on spawn. They were trying to aggressively take all of the objectives on the map. But in this one, they have Corky, Rise, and even Kennen, who can match scaling very easily.
The
other side.
Ignite Kennen coming through here does add some extra pressure. We haven't been watching that matchup too much, but you can see because of the threat of Ignite, he has a significant lead. But Pioshik has level 6 now. That's going to whiff, though.
Just walk.
Yeah, he doesn't have shoes, but Barefoot Kennen just gets out of there.
I hear it's pretty good for your feet if you don't wear shoes.
Yeah.
Actually. So, maybe clears onto something.
Well, there was a few times where the R buttons just did not work together well for DNS. I think it's a little bit tougher to mess it up this time with the Wukong at least and the Rakan, but they are going to have to press R together a little bit better.
Yeah.
This is the first of an attempt that did not work out, and that was really important because that was the one angle Pioshik has to relieve the pressure. We were just talking about the Ignite Kennen, the 20 CS lead. He's like, okay, I'll relieve that pressure. Missed the ult. So now that should just be Grubs going over to BNK.
And Diablo just going 1v2. Feeling pretty okay about that down there. The Grubs go to BNK, as you mentioned. And Bard is on the roam. Kellen maybe looking for some kind of setup. Pioshik is nearby.
They have
for that first blood. Yeah, I mean, the stun is going to come in, as will the long route to come through, but Pioshik is there, so no kill at least, no force of a flash for summoners.
That's... Yeah, they didn't get the dragon in exchange, even with the 2v1 in the bottom lane. Kellen was just hanging out in mid. They don't get prio there. Pioshik tries to make the play mid. They do not succeed. And now Raptor's topside because he just took the Grubs. Dude is at half health. This is going to be a tough dive to pull off, and Peter is coming up to try to cover. I don't think they should go for it. I think the window has just barely been missed. Now Pioshik does get the opportunity to take the dragon. I mean, Peter has flash. He is Rakan. Flash for Dudu. His ult's coming back up. This is a really thin window. I think probably just walk away. BNK's tendencies, getting the better of them for a second there, I suppose, but they do make the right choice. And the dragon looks like it is going to go over here. However,
yeah, they're going to pressure Pioshik out. Apparently, he gets rooted up, and now he's super low, and that's his W gone. Has to flash over the wall, but look at Vikla. He is in there. Wants to get on top of this Wukong, but instead, Pioshik will just get out. Still a nice trade for the side of BNK as Raptor just run from top to bottom and picks up the dragon as they, they're engaging on the closer now. But it does look like maybe they'll be able to get out of there. Kellen has different ideas, though. The double stun does come through, but now he's got a flash. Diablo also really low. Here comes Closer, jumps off the wall too early. And, yeah, I don't know. No kills. Both teams kind of failed at doing that.
I really think BNK should be a little bit more willing to just take small wins than trying to go for the huge wins, as Raptor in particular.
But instead, they will go in for the fight as Raptor's dead. First blood goes over to Closer, And this time the 2v3 doesn't work out, but maybe the next 2v3 will work out.
I looked at the way that dragon, I mean, the dragon health was super high. It gets scouted out, right? And they're like, nah, I don't think he gets this. And then they end up getting the dragon away. It was a great rotation over. They had full control. They played the aggressive realm warp. But then just, you know, it's okay. You got the dragon away. You got 3 grubs. Don't have to give a kill. Don't have to give Raptors flash. But ultimately, they don't have any brakes on this vehicle that is BNK, which has kind of always been the trend. Going back to this play, go to the end of it. Raptor is really continuing to stick around. It was a bit missed that we kind of skipped here because the part before this looked pretty good for BNK, but they stayed a little bit long, especially Raptor. He ends up going down. There's a lot of pick in this comp, even with some of those ultimates down, so be cautious.
Yeah. When that trade began, all 3 members of DNS were on vision. So it's not even like, okay, they caught them off guard. It's just saying, don't mind the Drake setup, just focus on communication and play like you just did. Great job. So there you go. Don't mind it, just play together, actually team fight, and keep it going.
Yeah. Let's see if this time Dudu can hit the ult.
Maybe if they bait clear in, which they absolutely will, as the Ignite is down, but I think Dudu is just fine. The damage is not enough for clear. It is pretty close, but Pyosik does get in there and picks up the kill, as now Raptor trying to cross map here, but Peter has Duckdom to hop to, and he can get out if he wants to, doesn't even need to.
That was a bit strange there on the top side. I thought Clear had control vision on Pyosik, but I guess he thought he needed to look for the all-in because he was going to die either way, but I think there was definitely some outplay opportunities there. He could have backed away, had flash, but he dies. And on the bottom side, obviously with Pyosik top side, there's a bit of a hole. And so some plates will go over. As you can see, a small lead has been generated here for Diablo. In plates and CS. Pyosik doesn't have ult, so Diablo just knows he's okay to keep pressuring like that. We keep watching the mid lane, but I don't think that Ryze is going to kill Atalia under turret. Like, I guess Pyosik was in the tri-brush when he went for this. It was not actually in the river, so... In Clear's defense, I guess he did not know and was baited.
Yeah, just baited into that one. It was looking good in the 1v1 if Pyosik wasn't there. Clear, no doubt, does get the win. And that's the way it goes, is now trying to engage here. A double stasis does come through, but Peter is buying a lot of time as the knockback does go on to Vikla, but continuing to trade is BNK. Duckdom makes his way over, and Kellen still looking for it to get the root down, and the ult comes out from Raptor, and that's enough damage to start pushing forward and take down Closer. And now even Pyosik getting pretty low himself, takes the big one, but he does get away.
Could have been worse there for DNS. Only losing Closer in this exchange. A rotation over from Diablo is the most important part of this. And that is going to be 1,000 gold, the advantage now for him over Duckdom in the bottom lane. He's going to even get a free push. Okay, looks like he's going to take the back instead. Thought with knowing the Wukong was topside, he might greed for some more plates, but doesn't opt for it. Initially here, I was like, are we doing it again, BNK? Like, no way. Peter ends up being able to use his ultimate to get away. And because Duckdom has faster roam from the bottom lane, I did think initially this might have actually been an overextension, but that route onto Closer with the knock up there from Raptor is enough. Diablo goes in with a Valkyrie. And like you said, the play-by-play, that moment was the go button. Pyosik does survive here. And it is a win for BNK. Gold basically dead even as Dudu.
He's got his flash, he is able to ult on over, but Clear also has the flash and the Sun follow-up, so easy kill for Clear. He will collect that, up 25 CS, and now a kill on his laning opponent.
He had everything you really could have asked for as Ambessa. Hits the ult, has his dashes, has flash, and even has the lifeline from the Hexdrinker, and is still killed as his teammates are desperately trying to rotate up. Duckdom didn't have ult. I think even if he does, they don't get there in time, but that's the first turret going over. And Pyosik will try to grab a cross-map dragon here, as Vikla used his Realm Warp to get to the bottom side of the map. I think this time he has enough time, but it's not, you know, really a true fair cross-map, because Diablo's getting more plates, and the Herald is going over on the top side of the map. As BNK are definitely winning out the macro game here with the lane pressure they have. These small leads for the Corki and the Cannon really make such a big difference when you can make these explosive plays and then take further control around the map.
Oh, and this time it's Hextech Soul, so definitely going to be fighting big time for those, and might put DNS in a rough spot where, you know, Sivir's only on 2 items, but they kind of have to fight for a couple of these Hextech Drakes. Not necessarily what they wanted to see, but at least able to get 1 Drake themselves. And if it does go late enough, should be good.
Sivir got nerfed on this patch. Essence Reaver got nerfed a little bit. I still think that Sivir is really strong and will do a lot in the late game. But I wonder if we get there. As like I mentioned before, Dudu has all the tools. He has ult, he hits it. He's got all of his dashes. He has flash. He has the lifeline. Just still too much damage. Raptor hits the W there, and Clear takes him out. The rest of the team was desperately trying to come up, but weren't able to get there in time. Vikla, nice dodge.
Yeah, and he's going to dodge that too.
Dodge.
The Ghost is very OP against these 2 champs that don't have the easiest, you know, point-and-click CC unless Rakan's going to ult, which he did not. So Vikla just runs it off in that case. And Diablo's going in for a trade. Who could have seen this coming? As now, a bit of a trade in the jungle as well. Pyosik, not the safest Wukong we've ever seen, but we do have TP coming in. Root goes down on a Peter as well. And Clear, behind enemy lines, is just going to run in from top lane and take him down alongside a Raptor, alongside of this tier 1 turret. And now they just run straight into the Bard. Oh no, DNS, this is not what you want to do. Trying to force the fight down a couple of members and just giving more over to BNK.
Starting to look like a bit of a disaster here for DNS in this second game, as BNK end up with another massive win in the fight. And I mean, we don't normally do, you know, it's a regular season game that's best of 5. It's weird to think about Palm already here in game 2, but I think everyone's got their eyes on Diablo, but for me, man, it's clear. His performance in game 1 was out of control, and the series is not over even if they do take this win, but he has just been everywhere. Gets ducked on between turrets and prevents DNS from doing any sort of follow-up here. Has his ultimate to drop down, prevents Pyoshik's retreat. Vikla is able to use the Bard journey to get out. It's just a clean setup here. Oh, ruthless.
Thankfully, they cut out that last part of the replay because it was 5v3. The mid lane was about, it had like 1 health, and the 2 of them just round the corner. They saw the Bard, and they just ran straight into the stun just to add insult to their own injury. So DNS kind of floundering, and BNK, they eat teams like this for breakfast. Now, game 1 might tell you a little bit of a different story, but generally, you know, when they're ahead, they love to push their leads. They love to just get in there, force you to make mistakes, and feel not confident in your position. And that's exactly where we're at. 18 minutes in, already 5,000 gold ahead is BNK. And the entire map is theirs. As Dudu, again, does not get to survive, not even going up against the cannon, but doesn't really get to do much, as now they're looking for Diablo, who does look very caught. And we do have the Bard ultimate to come down with the Realm Warp, but Diablo's eating tons of damage. That's a shutdown for Pyosik, but here comes the flank as Clear is looking for it. Only really going to get Pyosik, but it's good enough. Goes over the wall, does Raptor. Gets knocked up into the air, and it looks like Closer's not very long for this world. As Duckdom also trying to run away from this. 1 auto gets it done, and Dudu even tries to ult in, but misses. And it's getting even messier, Wolf.
Dudu is having a bit of a rough one in this game. Really just not finding anything he wants.
Yeah, I think it's more of the year of Vikla.
Yeah, it's looking that way right now.
Yeah.
It's definitely not the game of Dudu.
No.
That one is very clear. Speaking of clear, guys popping off 10 stacks, by the way, on Darksteel now. And that, I think, might be the beginning of the end of this one. You know, there's just not a whole lot you can stand on here in this composition anymore when you just cannot engage. Like, this is the best chance they're ever going to get. And this ult from Kellen, like, Bard Ultimate can set up combos, but in pro play, more often than not, it's used to buy time for rotations. That's why T1 is so iconic with this pick. They have some of the most aggressive rotations on you know, situations where it looks like they're outnumbered, and then Keria buys a ton of time with Bard. This is a similar situation with Kellen, where he's just like, all right, my team's coming, my cannon is coming, and you got the kill on the Corki, but was it worth it? The answer is absolutely not. And now it's a 7,000 gold lead pre-20, and BNK are running away with this series.
Yeah, we've had a lot of our series in the last couple of weeks be kind of very slow, grindy ones that do get some decent gold leads that then get thrown back. Game 1 was a little bit like that, but eventually BNK kind of took control of themselves. But this one doesn't really feel like we're going in that direction. This one actually does feel like the gold matters when you have this Corki on 2 items, you've got the Xin Zhao very far ahead. The Kennen is just unanswerable.
I mean, the gold matters a ton for the sides, right? And the fact that it's not playable for either solo lane or for DNS. But beyond that, I mean, okay, we're going to see one attempt.
Trying to get on top of Vikla here, who is going to Ghost and just kind of tank it all. And now he's just running away, and they're not fast enough to flash this come through. As Closer had to use his own Ghost and Flash to make that happen. Gunblade and Dudu does not exist anymore, has to flash away himself, but instead, we do have Clear just kind of taking him down. One more Q, gets it done, doesn't even need it. As Clear with the solo kill.
Gotta spend so many resources to kill one solo laner on the other side.
Trying to kill Raptor now as we have another Bard ult coming in. It's not a very clean game, but it's clean enough for BNK standards, they'll say. The shutdown does go to Closer, but Kellen's looking for his own kill. Meanwhile, Clear trying to take a 1-for-1 against Duckdom. Did not have to do that, but just kind of dies and gives 1,000 gold to Duckdom.
All right, well, a gold lead shrinks by 1,000. But, you know, what I was saying before all this craziness happened where Pyosik jumped out of the brush was the gold matters, but the map control matters. There's like so little that DNS can do to find this angle. They found one, right? Pyosik jumps out of the brush. They catch the overextending rise. And those types of opportunities are 1 in a million in a game state like this where you have no vision anywhere, really. And so they find that. Does cost them big on the top side. And Clear is like eating turret damage trying to kill a 3 levels down Sivir here.
Did not have to do this.
Tools because he uses them to, like, he doesn't have ult, isn't. Well, that's 1,000 gold to shut down 2 Duckdom, which is, I think if this game was a little bit closer, could have actually been horrible for BNK. I still think it's significant if BNK mess up again, but I think they like their chances of taking this Baron either way. I don't think that alone is enough to get DNS back in this game.
Yeah, you can see that DNS know this is going on, but Pyosik, he just did the blue. So it's not really like they have a good way to get in here, as now they see it in its entirety, as there's the Baron going the way to BNK, and Closer's just kind of dead. So maybe they didn't know. I mean, there were a bunch of pings that came down, but the reaction to it was like very half and half. You know, Closer's going in trying to do something, but then the rest, like, we have Pyosik taking the Raptors of the enemy team. Like,
I don't really know what the game plan was there. I think they're thinking about Game 3 Valdez.
Yeah.
And so am I, as this will likely be the push to break the base and maybe even end the game. We're only 23 minutes in, but they have pretty insane siege with this Rise.
Yeah, the Rise, the Kennen, the Corki, and the Bard. This is not, you know, KT's position where they were up 14k with like Akali and I don't even know what else they had. It was like Ambessa or something.
Rek'Sai.
They had to dive.
Yeah, Rek'Sai is not.
This is a really good sieging comp, so I'm glad you do mention it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great sieging comp, and it gets them all the vision back. I mean, they didn't lose that much of it, but in Closer's case, you know, he had Weaver's Wall, but alone, you know, he doesn't have Smite, can't really stop the Baron. Perhaps just identifying that it was being taken so that they could try to make something happen on the bottom side of the map, but there wasn't anything up there. There isn't really a good play to make if you are the DN Supers at this point. If I could speak frankly, but also politely, because you know, when Closer dies there, it's like, what is he doing? But what can he do? That's maybe the more appropriate question. Like, what is there to do? What correct choice is there to make? If you sit and hide and hope the Sivir gets 3 items when you're looking at a near 4-item Corki on the other side, you know, that doesn't seem like it's really going to be a winning strategy long-term either. Brush it under the rug, that 7,000 gold lead. Maybe no one will notice. Maybe we'll just survive.
I mean, they're trying to do, you know, the Sivir Talia in this case. The classic is Azir and Sivir. Just clear all the waves and survive for as long as possible. But this is BNK, right? It's not KT who are feeling like, oh, I don't know what to do. They will dive you, for better or for worse. As speaking of which, it's DNS that get the engage going here. Clear just going to Zhonya's, but the Wukong ult on top means that Clear is dead. At the same time, Dudu does go down, but that's a good trade, honestly, for the side of DNS. But now you don't have the quickness. That's a kill on the Bard, as they are taking quite a lot of turret shots. Like I said, BNK not scared to just do this, and it is not clean, but they might just get the win here as a ton of damage goes into Duckdom, and they don't exactly get the win in the fight, but the Nexus turrets are down, and I think they'll win the game despite themselves. As Diablo is Valkyrieing in, and he will die as the Nexus is going to go down, right? No, Raptor goes in, he's looking for the trade instead, and the Nexus denies him. So 2-0 to BNK.
I think with the super minions stacked up, it wasn't that greedy. It wasn't necessary to play it that way, but they won the game off of it. I mean, the wave clear came through from the Taliyah, and for a second I thought, okay, there's no wave on bottom. They're taking too much turret damage. Maybe Duckdom can give them a second lease on life in this game, but it is unfortunately not enough. There's too many minions, and when I watched that play from BNK, although it's not the cleanest, right, and it is perhaps like the type of play that makes a lot of more conservative coaches really like grab onto their chairs tightly and be like, no, just win for sure, never take the 80% chance to win, take only the 100% chance to win. When I think about this being so early in the season for BNK, they're making these aggressive plays, they're confident to make these types of moves into this comp that has Taliyah, Sivir, like you were saying, a lot of engage, and they still outplay it. They basically win the game on insane hard mode with the lead they have. That's almost like good training, you know? If you can learn to coordinate this well and play through lane pressure this well, I think it's a good sign for what is to come in the longer year here of 2026. The coordination is a little bit rocky, it's a little bit too aggressive, but once they figure out some of the problems and some of the wonkiness, this team could do great things, Valdez.
Yeah, definitely can. There's a lot of promise in this BNK team this year. We'll just have to see how far they go. But for now, they have gone to 2-0, and we'll see what happens in Game 3 after the break.
쪽 찌르면 봐줘.
아 봐줄게. 연결된 느낌 받아야 돼. 나온다. 봐줄게. 공 봐줄게. 잘 봐.
나
빨면서.
안 뺏어.
확인했다.
아
야 이겨.
다시 하자.
낙하 노공이야.
활력표 한번. 나 3타 쌓을게. 나 죽었어.
뭐야?
사이버는
공 돌게.
잘해봐.
야 잘 해봐 이거. 이거. 쎄. 탑 타워 해야 돼. 11호만 잡을 수 있나? 밀탑 해야 돼.
라인 들어가고
타워
있어.
칠게 이거.
다 쳐볼래? 얘네 근데 다 상태가 거지긴 한데
끝나냐?
끝날 듯? 달려 노플
나 타워 칠게 내.
달려 노플이야. 다 쳐.
나 타워
내가
칠게.
혼자 할 수 있어.
11호 풀.
달려 이제 풀도 써.
끝내줘.
끝내줘.
이제 아깝네.
배리 없어.
Shot calling problems, but a little bit less. They were a legend team.
They were,
Valdez.
yeah.
Well, let's see what they do with first pick this time, because I think you and I walked out, or I'll say I walked out of that draft feeling there were a lot of great tools, but the early game was such a disaster that the draft didn't work out. They went for the Taliyah over the Rise. The desk point out some of the issues and some of the holes in the draft that led to the lane prio, that led to a snowball. And hopefully they won't make those same mistakes this time around, or at least we'll be able to play through some of the weaknesses a little bit more efficiently, as they were not able to press R together this time, nor were they, unfortunately, in game one at the right times.
Or
Karma
Qs
taken away.
Or their Ws.
Yeah, I mean, they need to work on their macro, their micro.
Yeah.
The Karma here is a pretty interesting early ban without showing what their lane is going to be to take the Nico, so that was left open since they banned the Varus, which I think does make sense. So that lines with the Karma ban. We want to have lane prio. We want to have lane dominance. Duck Dom and Life going to play through this instead of Peter.
Maybe they're threatening, like, if you don't ban Varus, we banned Karma, so we're going to first pick Varus, and then you can't just pick Ezreal Karma to, you know, have that strong lane for Diablo and Kellen. But
it is somewhat ironic, though, Valdez, that one of Peter's best champs on his road to a Worlds Finals was the Nico, and Life is going to be playing it in this case.
Yeah.
Aurora feels very strong, blind, deep, and fearless because there's very few matchups she loses, and she is flexible across 2 roles. I really like this pick here for B&K. It reveals nothing. And this time, they'll get their hands on the Ezreal early before it can be banned in the second phase.
Yeah, and the thing about this is, you know, the Karma also very good into the Nico, something we should mention, so they banned that away, looking for that first pick Nico. But Ezreal can go with a lot of different things.
Please, no Kai'Sa here. I don't think this team could pull it off right now.
How about Cassante?
That's a different K champion that I think is great for Dudu. It was even banned in the first phase against him.
Oh no! Wolf!
We already knew. In Korea, if you have a ranged support, you think you can get through the laning phase. If Ezreal's on the other side, you have to lock Kai'Sa. That's the rules. It's actually rule 14.1.3. Just sorry, it took a second to check it.
So your issue with this is that you don't believe that DNS can actually play around the Kai'Sa.
Yeah, well,
like the lane itself.
Like when we unfortunately saw some big whiffs of ultimates that needed to be used in tandem that were much easier to execute. Trying to play a dive composition with this Kai'Sa with a Nico setup just sounds like it's too complex. And I hate to say that, but it has always been a staple of Rise Group to talk about the ease of execution of compositions. I thought in Game 1 and Game 2 they had absolutely that, and yet the execution still came up a little bit lacking. As the Sylas ban says, ban Alistair, and they will comply.
Yes, they do agree to the handshake, just like Walks did there on the space. And what else are we going to see banned here? Maybe things that can do well into the Aurora.
Like, what is the plan here for DNS for more dive? Like Yone for closer? I'm really...
Kali? Zoe?
Zoe... It would have been more pick opportunities. They still want to deal with it. I think that's fair. Especially with the Aurora now being revealed to be the mid laner. Can be one of the matchups that you can actually beat the Aurora in, as we've seen. So that makes sense. The Leona is one of the most common into the Kai'Sa. The Alistair, you know, taken away here would have been one of the better options into the Nico, and so that one is taken away as well. See what the answer will be. Rel, ultimately, they go for here. Some decent setup with the Aurora and the Gnar. Gnarbar a little bit situational, a little bit trickier to play out. It's been a while since Gnar has been meta here, so see how well Clear plays it. Ghost Syndra, all right, that's how we're going to play this one out. Single pick.
Yeah, we're running out of mid laners, Wolves.
I told you in Game 2 it's going to be played in Game 3, so...
You did say that. Ghost Syndra comes through, and Lee Sin for Pyoshik.
Now, this is a Pyoshik classic. Not quite as classic as the Hecarim we saw the other day, but...
Yeah.
This is a comfort draft, if I've ever seen one, for the side of the DN Supers. Like, tell me there's not one player on this roster that does not love to play the champion they're playing. And then also tell me how this comp is ever going to work, Valdez. Oh, a Malphite being hovered here. All right, it will be Aatrox, which makes a lot more sense to me. Who do you hit to set up the chain to look for a single pick? Odin, I'm looking at you right now. You have 5 seconds to answer. Is it A, the Ezreal who's super far away, has Arcane Shift? Is it the frontlining Aatrox that has a ton of lifesteal and will probably be able to live through almost anything? Is it the Gnar that's got Mega? No, the answer is it's the Rel, and you hope she misses her engage. You kill her first and then win the follow-up. Of the 3 drafts we saw from the Supers, this one is the one that raises my ire. This is the one I do not trust. This is the one I am worried about. They have the counter pick Gnar into the Cassante as well.
So you mentioned it before, it's a lot of comfort, and maybe that's all they need. Maybe they threw everything else out in terms of draft bucks. They're like, yeah, whatever, we don't need a real composition, we don't, you know, blah, 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 blah. Just play whatever you want, what you think you're gonna be good at, and maybe we can win that way. And certainly it does have some vibes like that. Whereas over here, I mean, it's a 3-carry composition, all very high tier.
How did they get a super meta S-tier comp in Game 3 and you got this?
Well, I don't know. You can see it there at the bottom. Either way, guys, game number 3, B&K up against DN Supers. Let's jump into the game.
미니언들이 생성되었습니다.
Alrighty, game number 3 on the cards. And DNS, really the onus is on them to show us something. Because B&K, it almost looks like they're just having fun, like they're limit testing. They're going crazy. They're doing all sorts of over-aggressive stuff. And they're still winning. And they're kind of...
Valdez? Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I couldn't help but notice Closer didn't take Ghost.
Wow. Why?
Because he knows that in side lanes, he's not safe and needs to be able to TP into team fights. And despite the fact that Ghost gives Syndra the ability to set up her combos, be aggressive well, and it gives her a little bit of safety, a little bit, Teleport is the correct summoner. Wow, he's a knower. Also, Vikla took Teleport as well.
Yes, he did. He's got the Electrocute. I would assume, especially early on, Vikla can have a fun time in this lane. I say that he's not taking the best trades vault.
It's pretty
fine.
It's pretty volatile because if you hit every orb, you do end up doing more damage. As the Electrocute is the trade pattern Vikla is looking for. Closer just wants to hit every Q and stack every area in on cooldown as much as possible. So here we go.
Life in a lot of trouble. He has to flash away that auto, having insane range, it felt like, but it still lands. And they get the heal, they get the flash. Kellen uses his, but life doesn't exist anymore in this lane, so they're going to take that.
The cool thing about playing Kai'Sa with a range support is that you get to utilize the range support's poke and ability to build distance to get through the lane a little bit more freely. It kind of shores up a lot of the weaknesses. However, if you're in rel engage range, it doesn't work out that way.
Yeah.
Nobody dies, and Duckdom's healthy enough to stay in the lane. But this could have been a lot worse.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised Kellen went back, because if he stays, I think there's no way that Duckdom can approach the wave, and it was pushing into Diablo. So, like, yeah, he went back, he did, like, the very common thing we see from supports, where you get the refillable, you get the control ward, but now Duckdom's kind of like, okay, you almost killed my support, but whatever. Whereas I feel like it could have been a lot worse.
Yeah.
And they could have punished hard, but instead they wanted that very nice back, which they did get, but I don't know. I don't think I would have gone for that. As now Pioshik potentially in a little bit of trouble. He is Lee Sin, although he does get knocked back. There is the flash away and the dash over to Closer. So he will be okay, but he does have to burn his flash for it.
Yeah, with Raptor there, Pioshik never going to press Q a second time on that Aurora. Ends up being fine, but loses his flash. So how fine is he really? Closer really wants to make something of this. Kellen is just going to assist him in clearing this whole wave. The biggest winner on the side of DNS for all of these shenanigans is still Duckdom, who is actually totally fine in the bottom lane with this huge roam up from Kellen. And what looked like it might have been a disaster is actually going to be a very stable Kai'Sa here. Surely not going to get caught by the rel rotation in.
Surely not.
Surely not. I say these things because, you know, we have seen more than a few unusual circumstances in this best of 5 already.
Yeah, I think especially when one team is struggling, you just don't want to see them, you know, dig the hole even deeper. And you kind of just hope that they play like a decent game. Even if they end up losing, you don't want to see them fall flat on their face like we have seen in a couple of games already.
That's why this draft here makes me feel frustrated, Valdez. And it's not that this draft is unwinnable, and I think it does have some strong pick opportunities later on in the game.
Yeah.
But You know, if this is your game 3 draft, what's your game 5 draft? You know, you gotta always think you're gonna win his life. No sums.
Yeah, he doesn't have sums. He doesn't have cooldowns. He's just dead. And now, DuckDom is all alone. Diablo a little bit low himself. Gonna miss another Q. Not the cleanest trading. And now a barrier comes through. The Flash W is not gonna land. And that's the end of that, as Koshik wants to punish Diablo, and that he will. But not before his entire bot lane just dies.
At least he's able to take the 80 carry off the map. That's the most important part. If that's another, you know, set of pushing minions into the turret, going to be disastrous. Wouldn't have been able to do it with Pyoshik there. Pyoshik also gets the kill. Kellen's going to hold the wave to make this even more annoying, as there are now no summoners whatsoever on the bottom side. DuckDom, I think, thought his passive proc was going to be enough there to actually do the damage fast enough, but he was mistaken.
Well, maybe if he hit the W.
Yeah, the W did not hit
to, wouldn't have needed too much calculating at all. But yeah, it just kind of feels like nothing is going right for DNS.
It's not the end of the world here, but
sure,
it's just these small things that...
It's just the vibe, you know?
It's, yeah, the tempo vibes are not theirs.
Yeah.
As again, the Nico is in Rel engage range. You've got to keep the Rel at arm's length as best as you can. It is tricky, obviously, into an Ezreal. As I'll say that passive proc flashes for it, misses the W, and is dead.
Yeah, and he's like, please help! Dead.
Unlucky.
He also said, please save me. And he said, jungle diff. That's what Kellen said. We're right back into a fight as Raptor's dead.
Jungle diff.
Big time jungle diff so far. If this is solo queue, your jungler's getting spammed with all sorts of pings and other stuff. But, yeah, Raptor not in the best spot. Is now ult here on a Mininar. Clear does not have his flash, as he does dodge a decent amount, but it's not quite enough damage to come through. Now Kellen getting pretty low himself, and he's like, no, I'm going to clear this ward anyway. Does not care.
And Diablo and Kellen look like they are having such a great time. Not in Kellen's health bar right now, but just in general, about how they're so nonchalant with this very important best of 5 for their group. Just ulting on top of Diablo here is DuckDom. The burst is there, and he doesn't have any way to respond, so DuckDom sits him down. That is why it is in the unofficial LCK rulebook that you have to pick Kai'Sa to Ezreal.
That's part of it, yeah.
And, you know, if Ezreal gets isolated and you have your ult, you can burst him. You just get right on top of him. And that did happen. This game is starting off very weird, Valdez. Maybe the handshakers on the space might be feeling a little clammy right now, as Raptor does also just get in here and get caught. There still is a lot of single target pick in this comp, including Kai'Sa. Go, 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 go. Hits the burst.
Got him.
Until DuckDom is super locked in, he's got the exact opposite of the kind of attitude of Diablo and Kellen right now.
Yeah, DuckDom did say prior to this series that he's fine playing with both supports. He's played with both supports, has synergy with both, and so, you know, whoever gets picked, he's fine to play with them. And you can kind of tell he's doing his own thing. Nice little engage from Kellen, but now Pyoshik level 7 has his Raptor, but he is much scarier here on the Lee Sin, and Kellen, okay, the Q is going to miss, so Life does have to take the kill, but now the nice kick to push Raptor back.
Pyoshik
that they should be okay.
Does have his flash, and also he's Lee Sin, so I don't think there's really any chase here. If Raptor takes too much damage trying to force this, it might affect their dragon take, as we do see the TP from Kellen. Went straight back over. And they should be able to maintain prio for this. Yeah. Closer is known for his Syndra, even though we haven't seen it as much.
Oh, actually ulting on top of Closer here. That's a lot of bursts already. Going to lock him down, and essentially just trying to get the flash out and also do a nice amount of burst damage. We'll see if they eventually do go for that dragon, which feels like it could be pretty nice, but there's still TP, and with home guards, with Lee Sin, it can be a little bit tricky, so...
Lee Sin with Sundered Sky.
Yeah, not going to go for it. Probably the right call.
I do think that with the teleport back in, there's an angle here for... Oh.
Okay.
There's definitely an angle for a dragon here for DNS now.
Yeah, there definitely is. I mean, DuckDom is... You can tell he's trying to punish as hard as possible, but now Life is... He's not in the best spot. Might have to flash himself, and there he goes. As he was just trying to clear a ward, thought he was okay, but Raptor was there. And once again, Dudu getting aggressive. Dusante trying to make his presence felt. The boomerang will not be caught, but Meganar is on the way. As Dudu goes back in. Nice trade from him.
Really well played from Dudu here. Actually should be fine. They are going to take the dragon. You can see Pioshik on it right now as his ult comes back up. Despite some really scary moments there with Life having to flash. Do maintain enough control to take the dragon away. For the first dragon for DNS this series. Whereas BNK have otherwise completely dominated the early games. Now they're 1,200 gold behind.
I think DNS got one last game.
Yeah, but they didn't get the first dragon.
No, not the first.
In either game.
Not the first.
Yeah.
Okay. I see what you were saying.
So, best early game so far.
Yeah.
Comfort working out.
Still stands.
I don't know if I want to say Life looks comfortable on this Nico pick today thus far, but...
Well, yeah.
Did secure that last kill.
Maybe his engages are going to be really good.
Yeah.
Maybe just the laning phase. He's like still getting... He had to like come in mid-series. He's a little bit rusty, perhaps.
I'll never forget.
I'm looking for excuses here.
I'll never forget that 2-month period where Life played only set every game. And went for the same flash face breaker.
Yep, level 1. Without fail. But thankfully we're not doing that anymore.
I don't know, it was kind of fun. He was the only one doing it, it was okay.
Yeah.
It was
now
cool.
I can't because of Fearless.
Yeah, remember when set was so meta that it was Life was just like, I'll take it away and play it support.
Might as well. If it's also flexible for your team, should make use of that.
They are going to get these grubs. It looks like here Pioshik still has his smite, and all right.
Yeah, trying to look for a little bit more as Between Worlds does come through. Vikla is doing quite a lot, has the belt as well to get on top of Closer. Gets pulled back, and now Raptor with the reset, but they don't have the top laner as Dudu's going to get in onto Raptor, but still kiting this out very well is Vikla and Raptor, although Pioshik will get in onto this Aatrox, and Dusante looks to be totally fine for now. Finally Clear does come down. And might be able to help out here with the hop on top of his own teammate's head, as that's the kill on the Pioshik, and Vikla still on the run, and it looks like he does Garrett away just barely.
Yeah, Dudu, no flash, not able to do anything there. Unfortunately, it just takes too long to kill that Aatrox, who went Shojin, by the way, and not the Sundered Sky, so a bit of a variation. Still was difficult to kill him. And he was hitting a lot of abilities in that last fight. As you can see, this is the early shove from Closer, so doesn't really have any escapes, doesn't have his flash from the earlier play. So I really like this call here from BNK. And because, you know, yes, Dudu comes over here and he is a Cassante with all out, because the Gnar is going to be able to join, doesn't matter his life.
Fight in live, and Life is no longer alive, and now Duckdom in a bit of trouble. He at least is going to dodge a lot of stuff, and he does have his summoner still, but that is yet another kill onto Life here.
Well, a bit of a turnaround in the gold as BNK, what these exchanges do, pull it back to almost dead even again. The belt Aurora is pretty cool.
Yeah.
I like what he's doing with it. Can set up the Between Worlds at a spot that you thought you were spacing to where you were safe, especially this immobile Syndra. Nice try.
Yeah, gonna be smited down by Pioshik at like 96, but still ends up working out. And yeah, the Proto Belt on the Aurora just makes you so incredibly mobile. It's already difficult to lock down an Aurora, but if you have even more mobility, seems pretty good. So Life just kind of gets caught here.
He really likes to stand near the Rel this game. Kellen is reminding him that you don't win by default. Obviously, Raptor is here. Duckdom does have his ult, can use it to get out of dodge with a dodge. And he has 6 more stacks of coal to complete before he can end up getting a big burst of money. Does find himself the only gold leader in the game with those 2 kills on the Ezreal earlier on. See if this Kai'Sa works out.
Talbot's actually weaving in the cues between the minions very well on the Duckdom.
I really feel like this is Diablo's like insane skill ceiling champion, even though we saw some misses earlier on.
I mean, Ezreal is one of those champs that you don't like to see it in the hands of every single AD carry, and only a few really kind of had their Ezreal license, if you will. And Yeah, it does feel like Diablo has absolutely earned that. Just have to see him play it even more. And so far, obviously, the laning phase was not the cleanest as he got killed multiple times by the bottom lane of DNS, but still, you know, you can lose lane and still have a big impact in the game. We'll have to wait and see. Vikla is getting pretty low, and the stun does not land, so he just gets out and back in. A little shake on, or a little scratch on the back of his head there. Probably not on purpose.
Little Pac-Man. Happens to everybody. Somebody has the joystick is a little dirty, a little sticky. Go back across one more time. Raptor is in the vicinity here. Needs a few more friends before he can take this. Vikla has teleport, but wants to catch the wave. I think there's a pretty strong window here for DNS to actually secure this and get out with no issues. Kellen's looking for a big angle. I don't think so.
That's kind of has to come down to a steal, but Raptor's not going to hit it. Kellen goes in, but only catches one, really, as now they turn on a Raptor, who's immediately dead, as they're all kind of in the pit here, but Kellen soon to go down, and that's 2 kills here for DNS on top of the Drake that they just got.
Yeah, I'm not sure what BNK thought was going to happen there.
What do they mean by that?
But they really had already decided the fight was a wash. They were like, oh, we win this easily, no matter what. It did not happen that way.
Nice dodge, but they're still going for it. Diablo has to flash, but he's still dead! As Duck Dom gets him from range, and that's a 3rd kill for this Kaisa. DNS now gaining a substantial lead in this game.
We do like the drafts for DNS. They don't work out. We don't like them. It's comfort picks. Maybe that's just the way. I think Odin's going to have to make a list of all their favorite champions, their top 3.
Confidence is everything.
It is pretty significant when you have a Dragon Prio setup, though. Look at where BNK are right now. Aurora is clearing the wave, not here in this fight. Raptor is isolated. I get it. He's an Aatrox, but when this engage comes in from Kellen, it's so lackluster. He was flanking. Diablo isn't there with him. He was playing too safe.
All right, trying to take down Closer here. We got 3 people in this one, but Clear also going to have to flash with the TP coming in. Now BNK kind of behind enemy lines. Clear, no flash, no hop, no health bar. Down he goes. The Gnar is the target, and an easy one. 3,000 gold here for DNS.
Well, BNK are playing just like they play from ahead, from behind. And they're trying to get back into this one as best as they can. I do understand it because trying to just play a slow macro game from here is going to be pretty tricky, but it is just not working out. That should be the Herald going over plus a Gnar. Yoshi picks that one up, and it's this time DNS just getting every objective on the board. And unfortunately, these aggressive setups are just, I mean, they're too far behind. And like, Closer had flash, he had teammates, you know, it is in immobile Syndra. I suppose that's the thought process behind that one. Is no
Without
way
Ghost.
No way.
Yeah, Vikla in a little bit of trouble. He's going to have to burn that flash to get away, plus the belt. And yeah, so Cassante Dusante does not really care.
So Vikla uses his ult to close the gap, gets Closer's flash, but then Pyosik shows up and they're like, uh-oh, and then the TP shows.
We got even more action as once again, Raptor is the punching bag. The Aatrox has a lot of potential in a team fight where he's getting resets, but not when he's getting 1v4'd multiple times in a row. That's the 4th death now for Raptor.
Just getting CC chained. He's potential darken in this game. He's got a lot of potential, as you said. They are going to get this plate and probably the whole turret. There's a bit of a race with this turret, the top side turret. And it will go the way of DNS. Just barely. As this is just a better group for DNS on the bottom side. Diablo is 2,000 gold behind, even though this is a high skill ceiling. Ezreal, we talked about it. I don't know, maybe the ceiling is collapsing a little bit in this game around him. Maybe the 4 pillars holding it up are not quite able to perform. He is 0-3 though. And despite some really cool engages and some nice leads built up in the early game by Kellen into Life, looked like Life was kind of not having a great start, but his ultimates when BNK just attempt some crazy plays have been able to get enough defensive stuff done. His roots onto Raptor have been pretty big. And the Syndra is getting large. I didn't really like it that much in the draft, but if he hits every scatter defensively that he needs to buy space for his teammates who are rotating faster because they have more map control, it's working out. It's almost 5,000 gold to lead here.
Yeah. I mean, with a comp like this, if you are going to be, okay, never mind, we are going to engage on top of Duck Dom, who also gets exhausted, and the shutdown goes to Diablo. A very nice setup for BNK. That is about as bad as it can get for DNS. losing the guy that was ahead, giving the shutdown over to the enemy Ezreal. But yeah, DNS's comp from ahead absolutely can get work done with just Syndra and Kai'Sa, especially with the Kai'Sa getting a lot of the gold, but gotta be careful.
Dunked on with no flash.
Not die like that.
And he is just burst down. I think it's the W-empowered True Shot Barrage from Diablo that hits him first, and it hits like a truck. And then he is exhausted, as you mentioned. With those summoners, Supercharger not going to be enough to get him out of that one. We'll watch it again, how it all went down.
레오나를 볼래 그럼 이거?
Kellen has flash,
가볼게.
looking for the angle. Despite the Supercharger, he still gets caught by the Magnet Storm. Powered Ezreal ult is enough.
Well, we saw what happened before we went into the replay. He was Mega Gnar. He was fine. He was on Vision. And then we come back, he's a dead Mini Gnar, and Dusante has another kill.
This is the counter pick to Cassante. He is a little bit behind in this game now. And now it's going to be another turret, as DNS will also get the Dragon on the other side. As the Aatrox is kind of farming bottom lane, maybe looking to set a trap, but DNS are on the Dragon, so I don't think they will walk into his waiting arms. Surely not. They're actually going to look to try to collapse. I think they're very aware of this.
Yeah, they have a lot of information, as you can tell. The root comes down. Vikla is dead. Kellen is as well. Only question is who gets the kill. Piosik says that's mine. Thank you very much.
BNK are trying to take the stance of we will not go quietly into that good night, but does not feel like doubling, tripling, quadrupling down on making these all-ins happen is working out for them. But I think they've kind of conceded this game, as Rift Herald is going to help them secure another turret here, the third of the game in the mid lane. Crystalline Overgrowth makes it a shoe-in. And defending this is going to be a challenge that I do not think that BNK should look for.
Very close, actually, to the Rift Herald not getting the kill, but absolutely does. And that'll be a third turret here for DNS. Now, I do feel like this is one of these games where the gold lead potentially is not real, because I still do feel like if you go long enough against Ezreal and Aatrox, you might have some trouble. Of course, it will take some mistakes from DNS, and they absolutely should win the game from here, but it's not necessarily the way things have gone.
That's definitely true, especially because
LCK
BNK have been trying to look for these punish plays, right? And clear. Oh, okay. That was a little unlucky.
Used everything on the wave.
Yeah, that's. I mean, it's a little. Probably should play a little safer than that, but a little bit unlucky. It doesn't look great, but it looked worse when he came in the middle of it. When you're like, okay, yeah. he didn't have weapons to fight with. It's like, okay, well, fair. But I do agree with you, because BNK have been so good at setting up traps and punishing, and they will take every chance they get. So you still have to play pretty safe. This team is good at coordinating really cool combos and burst damage, as we saw in the kill on Duckdom just moments ago, but the wallets may just be too heavy, as Closer's having a clinical performance on this Syndra this game.
Yeah, he looks very comfortable on this pick. This is something we did talk about at length. Something interesting Diablo did buy the Tunneler, probably head towards Shojin or something like that, but instead sold it, or undid it, and went for the Hex Drinker. So decides he needs a little bit more survivability into the AP damage of not only Closer, but also Duckdom.
He's not going Endless Hunger, he's going for the double tier build, which it takes so long to get online. They're already so far behind, but I suppose this is just often how you have to think about a game state like this. Like, go Shojin, okay, maybe you can hit that 3-item spike, but are you really going to be able to carry? Maybe you go double tier, this game goes 40 minutes for some reason, and then actually that's the play.
I think that's the angle.
I think that's the angle as well. It hurts to build it right now, because you're basically saying, I'm not going to be relevant for a little while here, and we're 7,000 gold behind, which he doesn't know, but he knows they're significantly behind. They're down 7 kills and almost every objective. So just kind of hold on is going to be the game plan here, and maybe they could still get the clean sweep. Doesn't look likely at this point, but I do like his calculation, even though it's not very Diablo of him to sit and wait.
Yeah, I guess
he just walks up, man. He's not afraid of anything.
He does have everything available, so just feels pretty safe at this point, but Yeah, I think he's really hunkering down and realizing that this game, if they're going to win it, it's going to go a while. And you got to do what you got to do. And double tier builds, you know, back when they were first able to do that, you know, at some point, double tier builds were taken away, and obviously they were added back this year. Ezreal was one of the best at doing double tier builds. So it kind of does make sense that this is one of the options still that he can go for in 2026. And it's great for scaling. All those mana items are going to work well together.
If it was like a 2,000 gold lead, he goes into Sungler, you're like, or Shojin's, you're like, okay, he's saying, I can fix this game right now. I will carry you. Right now, he's saying, I will fix this game later. And, you know, he was stacking this tier. Ezreal stacks tier incredibly quickly, as you're alluding to, which is part of why it's one of the only champs where this double tier build is viable. So we'll see how much time they can buy, because it's 3 dragons to 0, 30 seconds until the Mountain Soul for Cassante, who's massively ahead in this game. And the Ezreal is not really going to hurt him with this build, so they need to somehow buy time by securing the smite. That's going to be on Raptor. He does have flash. And trying to fight their way through this, but it is going to be so hard.
Meganar just procced there in the fight against Closer, who did not use his ult, by the way. So Closer just poking him out, forcing the Meganar at the worst time for BNK, essentially. You can see the BNK trying to get some sort of team fight going, but
DNS are just not even going to give him the flip. They're like, nope, pulling this out, playing it slow.
And
Closer is on a ward.
Yeah, maybe an opportunity here. Viglo with the dodge, and now Closer has to flash away. But that's just a flash. Might come down to a little bit of a flip now as Pioshik's taking some damage, and DNS kind of ceding the floor to them. It is going to come down to a flip, but Raptor is just not in the pit at all. Gets pulled out by the Cassante, isolated, and not killed, actually, not yet. As now we're just looking at Diablo. Can he solo carry this one? Is going to take down Life and Closer. But he has to go up against Duckdown, Pioshik, and Dudu alongside of the Meganar. Nice stun comes in from Clear. And the True Shot Barrage is there. Raptor is back as well. And Diablo takes an insane amount of burst damage. Just trying desperately to carry this one. It's not going to happen. As the Mountain Soul is getting work done here for DNS. And Clear is still trying to fight them.
He's trying to buy time here. We'll avoid the Void Seeker at least. Diablo tried his best. Missed a few abilities there, despite his True Shot getting a little bit done. But it's the burst from Duckdom again. The counter pick of this Kai'Sa was able to get through lane, through some shenanigans that is now starting to get quite large in this game. They did get the shutdown onto Closer. DNS taking a fairly risky Baron here, but there's no TP for Vikla, so I think they will just get away with it. It's actually really not risky at all.
Yeah.
All right.
Objective bounty, though? And Clear is just, I guess, accepting that he's dead. I'm not really sure why he's still here, but he is absolutely dead.
I think he just was like, well, I mean, the best way out is try to get out as fast as possible after taking that turret down. Trying to run away wouldn't have worked out. As this fight is pretty straightforward. Pioshik gets the smite. As Raptor's on the other side of the fight, they take him out first. He doesn't die initially here, but cannot offer anything in the fight. As in live, it looks like nothing too important going to happen. Diablo is unfortunately just against too many people here, and even though Duckdom is low on mana and Clear separates them, he eventually has to step forward to do the damage. And then Duckdom gets to the last of that MP.
Oh, little engage here. Big engage here. Vikla's dead. And it's kind of happening on the side of the turret. You can see he was not ready for that. Just trying to check and put down some vision, and does get punished by Life's Nico. And now we got Life behind enemy lines here, behind the turret. Dudu's taking a little bit of damage, but
Closer has ult, and he's coming up. Diablo needs to be so careful while also maximizing damage.
Yeah, they're just gonna try to dive him, I guess. The Unleashed Power does go in to Kellen. And Life does have to go golden. He's taking a lot of damage there on the backside of this fight from the Boomerang and Diablo. The DNS up 11,000 golds with the Baron and the Mountain Soul. Surely they can just close it out here.
And you would think Diablo's just trying to do as much as he can. Aggressive play there. And they still survive. He can at range chip away at this cannon minion. And they survive. In my mind, Diablo is like the anime character that always wins in the end. And when you're watching the episode where there's like a bit of strife and you're like, oh, he's back in Swall, he's in the dungeon.
Yeah.
How's he going to get out of this one? In this game, Diablo looks like he is just super chained, but he does enough to help them defend this base. Bit of Magi is picked up, you were pointing out to me, on the Syndra. Zvikla is burst first, and that is the turret to go down, and they cannot quite get the inhibitor in the aftermath.
Now looking for a bit more here in the jungle. But it just looks like DNS are trying to exert some pressure, take all the camps away, really suffocate BNK out of this game. And yes, there is a world where BNK do come back. We've seen crazier things, but it's just not looking very likely at this point in time. Vikla, he's got to play on a knife's edge here, especially after getting hit by the Nico in the last one.
If they survive this Baron and can muster a fight on Elder or an Elder steal, they could still win this game. It is a 12,000 gold lead, and I do think that outcome is unlikely.
Yeah.
But the fact that the base is still up, it speaks volumes to, again, the lack of siege in this composition. It's a similar situation to the KT1. Like, Syndra can kind of siege, she can engage from range, but BNK are just playing this very carefully, not giving them a whole lot of opportunities.
Yeah. It's really the only way to play it, and, you know, it might sound like a lot of cope that we're saying, oh, you know, maybe BNK has a chance when they're this far behind, but again, if you weren't watching last week, you're not in our shoes. And also, you know, DNS, after the first couple of games, I think it makes sense that we don't have a huge amount of confidence in them at the moment, although they have played this game much better and much cleaner. So the goal difference over time graph definitely tells the one story. But in a minute or so, when this Elder Drake spawns, that's where we're going to, you know, read the final chapter. We're going to see the final episode where the protagonist has to face his inner demons.
Yeah, or perhaps he just doesn't win this time, and there's a bit of a, you know, 2-week break. It's like Golden Week or something, and then we come back and it's game 4. I think this setup for Baron is really tricky for DNS because Life is their primary like AoE zoning tool. Otherwise, you really have to just try to poke with Syndra and look for that prio target because Diablo is so safe on this Ezreal. And we trust him and his ability to hit these skill shots in a longer fight on setup. They're actually just going to push Closer.
Closer does have enough vision.
But he is going to struggle to enter now, and they have a Cassante in mid, so it's not like they can push towards the inhibitor.
Flank is coming out here. Piosik's got an angle.
Life on the angle as well.
Yeah, they want to try to turn onto this one. And we'll see if they can get Life on the Nico, who is going to ult, just gets blasted away from as Kellen has to go in, and Life is just already out of the fight. Pyosik also behind enemy lines, trying to do something. Ducktop might be able to take out the Rel, but there's the GA. And this is actually looking like a pretty close fight at this point, as now the sun is going to come down here from Dudu. Tons of damage comes out from Closer, looking for more stacks, but BNK are kiting it out. The Elder is alive. As the sun comes through, Diablo's going to get caught, and that might be the end of this one. As they took down the protagonist, we'll have to wait until next week's episode to see if he can do it next time, because DNS, they got the one man who could stop them.
Oh, that stun onto Diablo just ends the game. Down he falls. No more protagonist. And that is the end of this one. It seemed like maybe there was still some fight here in BNK. Kellen zoned away, doesn't have ult, even though he has flash. Wait a minute.
Hey, you can see they're just trying to end the game. They don't want to go for the Baron or the Elder. Clear only stuns the Lee Sin, and that's not going to be good enough, as we have backdoor protection on this turret, and they're just tanking it up and trying to end this one. And I think they should be able to, as Raptor just not able to get anything going on this Aatrox in game number 3. And DNS will force a game number 4 as they take down BNK and finally get the punish.
All right, series on our hands, Valdez. No 3-0 today. The fight there looked so broken up, though. Life gets collapsed on. I think that BNK played that so well. And then Pyosik gets onto a flash, because he did get the flash out of Diablo. Pyosik gets on top of him and looks for a kick play, but there's no follow-up. And at that moment, I was like, do they ever kill Diablo? It's that rogue stun that actually catches him, and then they end up blowing him up. I think given some time, the game definitely doesn't end. Who knows what happens in the longer fight? Maybe they still lose it. They still lose Elder, but the game doesn't end there. Diablo tried his best. In this game, the Kai'Sa counter pick worked. Closer Syndra played well. The comfort draft is enough. And perhaps it's a boon for DNS that Life won't be playing the Nico for the rest of this series as well, for being honest. I think Kellen had a good performance. This Aatrox just was running into too much CC, too many issues.
Yeah, absolutely. So guys, that is the end of game number 3. We do have a series on our hands as DNS are able to get one, and we did get to see the position there. So 2-1, B&K are up.
나 꺼내줘야 돼 여기.
이거 니코 봐줘, 니코 봐줘, 얘들아.
나와.
나 가는 중.
봐줘.
이거 보던가. 이제 보자.
이제 봐줘.
이제 높여. 빼면서 해봐. 레볼게. 이제 날아가게 애매,
앞에부터 돼요. 오른쪽으로 빠질래 정현아?
레이더 천천히.
왔어. 오른쪽 방어 몇 초?
방어 있어.
방어 있으면 빠질 수 있어.
앞에 나를. 오케이. 나 날라갈게.
바로 높을.
야 이거 장르로 불러. 오케이. 나 와이만 거 맞을게. 빼는 거. 야 이거
이제 맞아.
이제. 야 쭉 가자.
나이스. 끝까지 가자. 내 농구야 전격해줘.
Not a Kiana.
How about a Kiana? Game 4. Bring us to game 5 just like that. I am so down.
I don't think that will happen, but if there was a team to first pick it, it would be B&K. The Nocturne's going to continue to be banned. We will see the Rumble gone. A lot of our mobile and safe 80 carries are gone as well. So I do think Malphite stock's a little bit up, although I still think in pro play, very tricky to pull off, but it does seem a little bit more viable. The ban on the Sylas just kind of indicate they could be looking to first pick it.
Yeah, that's generally what it does indicate. And, you know, could be Malphite. That does come out, and maybe it gets answered by an Alistair, which we haven't seen just yet. Another pick that Sylas is very well into, as we saw yesterday. And every other time Sylas plays into Alistair. So they banned Sylas, and then they also banned Malphite. So the gambit is up, I guess, on that one.
Yeah, I was maybe reading into it too much, but we did see that quite a bit, forcing the Malphite ban on the second pick team. But I hope that they had something else in mind. Keeping Diablo safe seems to be a pretty strong strategy. Seems to be a good way to play.
I don't
no
feel
Nocturne,
like
no
he can
Malphite.
keep himself safe. And by the way, they left Jace open.
This pick, okay, so I spent a lot of time talking about this last week. I think it's incredibly strong to get you ahead. First strike gold, you know, we often see that picked up. You generate a lot of it. You can impact the lanes with just Shock Blast. But you are so incredibly vulnerable on objective fights, and they're playing it into Pantheon as well in this case. This could be flexed to the top lane, depending on what matchup we end up seeing here, so they can hold that flex for now. But even top Jace feels a lot riskier than jungle Jace, and so I'm not sold on this alone just yet. We'll see what else they bring to the table, as Leona will give them a bit of a front line.
Would steal it away from the Ziggs as well.
Can still pick it here with the Jhin. Some of the best setups for the Jhin are gone, like those really strong frontline champions, the Jarvan, the Wukong, right? The Xin Zhao. even the Syndra that can help set up a Jace gone, so the Leona makes a lot of sense. As Closer will this time pull out the Yone.
Yeah, makes that very early Ziggs pick make more sense as well. I want to play that AD mid, I want to make sure they have the Ziggs. LeBlanc going to be taken away, so not going to allow Vigla to play that into the Yone, assuming the Yone does go mid, which I would assume 99.9% of the time, especially for this team, it does.
Yeah, I think I would be feeling that way as well. Alistar does finally get taken away, as they opted for the mid-prio first instead. I don't know if you necessarily needed to grab Yone first. I don't know if they would have been able to predict that, but either way, another game without Alistar. The Leona lane feeling pretty good right now. Into this Ziggs, they got the Jhin counter pick. And Gwen gets taken away once more, usually indicating a tank in the top lane. Sion is Fearless banned though. Cassante and the Ambessa are gone. That's probably the only, that's like the only one I could think of right now that you would want in this case. Ornn doesn't really make sense at all. Final ban here, likely on another support. Zahin.
Zahin support. I actually, I played a solo queue game with Dan Ox Harrison. He had to play with the Zahin support. The guy actually did pretty well. Actually went better than we expected.
We did see it in pro play on week 1 in LCP. Sejuani Yone, a tale as old as Yone's release date.
And Pantheon, which is not going in the jungle.
To the bottom lane, you have to imagine, as support.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. Very tough lane to play out. You know, if you mess it up, you go in too deep. It's going to be very challenging. Now we're going to find out what is going on with this Jace. And this will not actually 100% confirm.
Yeah.
But it seems likely that it's still probably going into jungle.
Yeah. I think nowadays, you know, we did see it flex up.
Oh!
Wait, hold the phone.
Okay, well, it's not. Right?
So Jace mid, Lilia jungle,
Jace mid.
Jax top. Yeah.
Jace going into the mid lane
Jace
is a
to deal with
throwback.
The yeah.
We've seen it a ton with some of these mid laners that are really good at Jace, like Showmaker,
yeah.
Chovy in the past. We even see like Jace Renekton swapped mid-game as well. The Rek'Sai will ultimately be the choice here. Was not banned by BNK. Kind of hinted at it with the Gwen ban, as you mentioned earlier. A lot of great setup for the Sejuani. And you have great follow-up to the engage here for the Ziggs. This Lilia has been a bit of a terror in solo queue. We have not seen it yet in the LCK. Waiting for AD mids to show up. They just haven't, really, outside of Yone, and now the Jace is being flexed in. A lot of sleep combo potential with the Jax here. It's hard to say whose draft I think is easier to pilot, because neither of these drafts are standard. But I do think the Supers have a draft that at least is pretty difficult to mess up. You have a lot of frontline, you have a lot of engage, you have a Ziggs that should be safe because of it and has a bomb to drop on top of it.
Yeah, they have like pretty obvious synergies, you know? You got the Sejuani with the 2 melee, you have a very strong front line with 2 tanks, and then the Ziggs behind it, as you were mentioning it. This guy says no 5-gamer. I would say probably unlikely that we do get a 5-gamer, but who knows? Maybe DNS finally woke up in the series and they're ready to go now, and BNK sometimes can't help themselves when they do pull the trigger.
Draft is so fragile in so many ways. I'm not sure about this one, Valdez.
I think it's difficult. We'll have to wait and see how it plays out here in Game 4.
환영합니다.
And here we go, game number 4. Honestly, didn't expect it to get here. You did, Wolf. You had the 3-1 prediction. I was one of the 3-0-ers.
I never really feel good about saying, like, aha, I got him with a 3-1 pred, because it's often
3-1 Andy.
Most likely outcome in most best of 5s of teams of similar caliber. Most people would say that that's not necessarily true and that BNK was much stronger, but I thought in this meta, there's no way they 3-0. So far, that ended up being the case, but the draft of B&K is kind of anti-B&K. You know, it's a draft where they have to finesse the Lilia a little bit. You got to be a little bit measured with the aggression. The Leona going through, Jax following up at the right moment. Can't just all pile on all at once. Whereas the DNS draft, that looks like a B&K draft to me.
Yeah, it really does. I don't know how much Ziggs we've seen Diablo play, but we've definitely seen Duckdon play it quite a lot, actually. He was one of the first that actually got the seal of approval from Ox, where he was like, yeah, this guy knows how to build this champ, when Ziggs was slowly but surely getting more and more common. As Dudu goes in, level 1 versus level 2, he is tank Rek'Sai. I don't think he'll be in too much danger, but still have to be careful at certain points in time.
He will be getting a lot of value out of his Doran shield right now.
Yes.
By regenerating the health back. See if Clear does go for AP. Don't think he needs to necessarily in this draft, but it has looked incredibly strong. Saw it from Rich with that Malphite Wombo combo. And it helps you clear the waves faster and be a larger side lane threat. And you do have that Dusk and Dawn.
Yeah. I feel like it is worth it in a draft like this. You know, Lilia sometimes, you know, she can have that really nice engage and like the big sleep into Zhonya's or whatever, or like the sleep and a flash away, but sometimes she has to, you know, flash and kind of all in to set up the fight and then just die. And yeah, she's going to have some ticking damage, but, you know, if she goes down and your Jax isn't AP, then it's like, well, not a whole lot of AP damage, but still going to be very good into the Sejuani.
2020 DRX enjoyers remember Pioshik's Lilia. He's not playing it in this game, but definitely familiar with the champion. I'm curious how he's going to approach this game on the Sejuani. One that is not as iconic for him. As speaking of Pioshik,
all right, you got a 2-on-2 here. Closer is able to land that Q to get out, and Pioshik's just going to flail the both of them. But at the end of the day, Closer really had to hard disengage, so no follow-up will come through. But we did get the flash out of Vikla on the play.
Pretty significant advantage picked up. As up here on the top side, you're seeing the sustain of the Rek'Sai start to come through. First back came through from Clear. Dudu's just chilling.
I do not believe Dusk and Dawn uses a longsword. I've been playing a lot of Echo Jungle, building Dusk and Dawn first. I do not think it has a longsword. So it does have that little fairy thing, whatever that's called, the magic in the bottle. Life on the Pantheon is just going to get engaged on, as who's ganking who is really the question. The Q3 does come through, but that's Life to go down first, and he even gives the kill over to Vikla. First blood into the hands of this mid-chase.
Yeah, bit of a attempt going awry here for the side of DNS. Jace feeling very good about that early kill. We'll give him the serrated Dirk to pick up and continue to be annoying in this lane into the Yone. So Kellen's just going to chill here for a minute. Call picked up for Diablo. This comp is already picking up a little bit of steam. The one problem for the composition of DNS, if this Yone falls behind, is that they don't really have consistent damage, because the Ziggs has a lot of burst, he has his skill shots, but isn't going to be able to be a true carry. As they go on to Life here, flashes, sets up the stun, but just not enough damage. Even an attempt from the Jhin there to get involved on the play.
You could tell it was very forced, and Life found himself in a rough spot and kind of just had to send it. And generally on plays like that feel a bit desperate, they're not going to work out more often than not.
And as you pointed out, no Dusk and Dawn for Clear, going for the Phage. A little bit standard Jax, a little boring, but makes sense. I think both are viable here, especially with the setup that could have happened with Raptors sleeps, but not come to pass in this game. We do see level 6 here now for Pioshik. Wants to try to turn something around here in the mid lane, but it is very tricky, even with Vikla having no flash. I mean, it's that Sejuani Yone they want to make work, but Vicla's ranged and could just kind of space this out. Raptor wants to hit level 6 here as soon as possible. Piosik's trying to deny him this Raptor camp, ironically.
Not going to be successful, but might look for the kill here as it is blocked, but the double Yone over the wall, and that's going to get the kill on the Raptor. Vicla also quite low himself, but still a very nice setup here from DNS.
Okay, on the board. On the board. Not going to lose the lead on the board, the tie on the board. As we're going to see a TP from Kellen. Very slow here. Could be enough.
Yeah, he is going to unbind his soul and get slowed up. Does have flash, and they're not going to do anything about that. Kellen doesn't have his.
Ultimately, it ends up being just Kellen showing up in the mid lane. But it was a cool idea, and very threatening, and a good usage of the Unsealed Spellbook. Dragon is available. We're going to go back and watch this play again here. On the outset, looks like there's just too much space built. The block here does not actually do Vicla's teammate any favors. Was hoping that it was going to, but the Yone ult is too good. Has enough damage to spring back as well. And so we're tied up one apiece in the mid lane.
And that's going to be very important for Closer, just trying to catch up after Life did a little bit of a donation in the mid lane.
I'm very tentatively watching this comp here for DNS, feeling like, okay, even game state, easy to execute. You know, the big question has often been for this team today, can they hit their R buttons? They hit the mid lane R buttons there. Yeah. Even with the block from Vicla.
They look much better after game 3 for sure.
Maybe some confidence coming back. Feeling maybe they have the tempo vibes.
Better than no vibes at all. And certainly, you know, their confidence has come back. They're playing more as a team, so maybe the coach was able to get in there, or maybe the players themselves were just able to figure it out. Piosik does have his ult back and is looking for a play here on a Vicla, who's, I think he just now got his flash. So the timing is impeccable for Vicla in this case. That's the stun. Lots of damage comes in, but Piosik does not commit to throwing that Glacial Prison in.
Yeah, they wanted to get Vicla's flash. They cannot get it, but you know, it still gets a lot of health bar away from him, so that's still a successful gank, and they're once again going to go set up on Raptors. I think when I look at this game, the state we're in, how different this draft is going to be played out for BNK as. I think they're going to have to show some depth here. Diablo has cleanse.
Now he doesn't. And also got ignited, took a bit of damage. They're going to engage here onto Piosik, it looks like. Takes a huge amount of damage, and a massive Yone into 3 of them. Closer nearly dies, and there's 0 follow-up, but it was really cool. And Life goes in, his ult hits nobody, and Duck Dom is super low, and he's just going to get crit in the face instead. As Closer, I think he was out, but now he's not. He's dead. It's a double kill to Diablo. And we're off the rails again, Wolf.
I was so happy when we were on the rails for a second.
Yeah.
That Hex Flash animation is very bizarre.
Stay sharp, by the way. Yeah.
So how do we contextualize this?
Yeah, break it down, Mr. Analyst. Good luck.
All right, so initially BNK have the setup here. Life pushes Diablo though, gets his cleanse out, and it looks like almost for a minute they're going to be able to force him to flash over the wall here if Piosik can get on top of him, because Piosik had flash, but he cannot. He's actually blocked by Kellen. This ultimate saves the day. And then we're just reminded that Duck Dom did say that he could play with either support. They have a lot of synergy. As he is left alone.
Yeah. I think maybe he doesn't get out, actually. I thought his...
I don't think so.
Yeah, I thought it would full channel, but no. Clear. Perhaps in a bit of trouble as the Zeke's is finished, and the Rek'Sai ultimate also comes out, and Piosik's tanky enough, so nice dive there. And good setup by Dudu to get him low enough.
All right, clean dive. Game's still incredibly close.
Oof. Yeah, that's the power of the Jace. I mean, it doesn't have to be jungle, as Closer's like, hey, maybe I can farm the mid lane. No, you can't. And maybe I can do... Okay, well, he got the 1 minion.
That's all he's going to get.
Now, please back.
Well, unfortunately, not going to lead to the kill there, but significant plate gold. As this observing is making me queasy with all the action. It's so many little micro moves. It's such a hands check game. It's such a game of inches. Pyosik is going to be able to get the grubs on the top side, while we do see some attempted steal away on the bottom side. Closer is now able to kind of farm for a minute. It's a 400 gold lead with all those assists picked up. Plates. Grubs, not as great here for DNS's comp, but good as a denial. Zig's not as good at satcheling with the changes to plates, but still can be a big threat given enough time. So he's really going to be the main benefactor. Same with Yone, I suppose, again, if given enough time. I'm really thinking about Jax more than anything else here. Not having those feels like a big denial.
Yeah, and the Jax is not in a great spot here. Clear pretty far behind, about 17 CS, and also did die to the dive. So not having a fun time, did not finish his Trinity Force just yet. We'll get there soon enough, but it's a rough time for now.
There's just no way this game doesn't end up getting decided by some insane scrappy fight. Hands check all the way. That wasn't supposed, like, there's no objective up, right? It's just like life gets caught in the river and then suddenly it's a 5v5.
Yeah.
With like the dragon doesn't spawn for 3 minutes.
I think you're right. I think you got a pretty good read.
I just think that's how this game is going to go.
Yeah.
Speaking of life, it's not quite able to get the gap closed there. Gets the Ghost Blade.
Clear down 2 levels. They're not 2 full levels, but
he's like, okay, I guess the synergy with Pyosik was it was going to go to the Yone. I thought I'd be okay up here on the Jax. Not going for the Rek'Sai, but I'm not getting help from Raptor either. Just kind of up here, playing top lane.
First turret 13 minutes in. Dudu, you know, generally, okay, we're going to have to wait for that as ults are being thrown in every which direction. All 3 of them into Vikla, and the kill is also given over to Closer. That's going to be a big boost of gold into this DNS team.
Yeah, it's massive. I mean, they have so much power in mid and top, and the Ziggs is still just farming. Like, he's 1,200 gold behind, but it's not like he's irrelevant. More plate gold to Dudu. And Dragon is live. It's still ignored in this game, but it is live. I thought perhaps they were going to try to push for it after that kill there onto Vikla, with Vikla lacking the teleport. Instead, it looks like it's going to be Raptor to start this one up. But so much money. Swang. DN Swangers.
Let's
series
not have that be a name.
No, I mean, we already had Slurkle. It's fallen off. I'm pretty ready to retire Slangers.
Yeah, tell that to Atlas about the Slurkle at least. Swangers is your decision.
No, it was just an accident. And sometimes when you misspeak, you try to fix it and solve it. And it's not even that late. It's 8 o'clock, but the series has broken me.
It's way past your bedtime.
I did wake up at 6 a.m. today, so.
Yeah. I think I was.
I know you know how it is.
Yeah, it's rough. I just remember, like, about 2 years ago, I used to, like, you know, wake up at 12 and be like, oh, you know, I got a cast today, and kind of like maybe go to the gym, maybe not, just be lazy, just do whatever.
I thought I was such I thought I was such ahead of the curve as an esports caster. I was like, I wake up by 10 every day.
Like
I'm in the gym by 11. You know, I'm a morning person.
Or so you thought.
No way.
Yeah.
As Closer is starting to become a big threat. Like, he has Bork and he has his Berserker Greaves tier 3. So Clear, who can't hurt anyone in this game, is going to be
Pacifist Jax.
He's just waiting for his chance for 5 people to be somewhere so that he can hit a turret. That's what he wants. Clear had such a great start to this series too, but he wasn't given any resources in this game, and Rek'Sai just kind of just out-attritioning him with the sustain in this game, and all those small advantages really adding up as Pyosik grabs this Herald. So that's likely dead mid-turret when he decides to utilize it. So they do have the Ziggs to help finish the job. Trying to collapse on this Jace with a Leona who has flash. I mean, it's ambitious.
All right, Clear has decided I exist now. I don't agree, actually, Clear.
He got one more glowing moat, and he was like, that's enough ability haste for me to win this matchup. 2 levels down.
Well, he's about to get ulted on by the Pantheon. Actually, it looks like Life is going to hold on to that for now. And that's totally fine. Flash available here for Clear, but the stun comes down, and it's pretty easy doings from there. Although, the Counter-Strike comes in, and he just dies to Ignite. And yeah, Clear still not existing. He didn't realize it. We realized it. Helps that we saw the Pantheon, too.
Also, very much a realizer that there were 3 people trying to kill him on the top side, and he safely backed away and did not get dove. They lost some plates. But I think absolutely a worthwhile exchange when Dudu is also going to get 2 plates here with Crystalline, maybe more. And there's that mid turret I was talking about. This is just a macro gap a little bit in this one.
All right, first Lily asleep to come through. It's on Ione, who does not care and will not care.
Satchel range.
Yeah.
So double turret.
Dudu's just, he looks like Clear on Renekton in game 1. You remember who was just in the side lane playing against Sion and like did not care at all. He was taking all of the plates and got super far ahead and then eventually was unkillable. And Rek'Sai is even more unkillable, so I do worry for BNK.
I just don't know if Raptor can really affect that side lane at all on this Lilia. And Lilia just doesn't feel like a Raptor champ to me. You know what I mean? It's not like,
this is what happens in Fearless.
It's not
like,
a dive champion, you know?
Yeah. He played Aatrox as well in the last game, and you know, obviously that didn't go very well. I think it could have looked very differently, and I think Aatrox is something that he should be able to pilot. But yeah, I do agree that the Lilia is kind of out of his range, and maybe he was trying to reach for something that had AP damage from the jungle, but they didn't really have a lot of good options. And it was the final pick, obviously.
It's his 5th game of Lilia professionally of his career. He's 1-3 on the champion. It's definitely a very niche champion compared to a lot of the melees we've had as staple for the last 5 years here in the LCK. So that's probably part of why you know, those stats are so low in terms of the games.
This is like a pull bay flank. Like, we are just
Kellen
ages behind, and they seem to have an idea, but maybe perhaps not, as Closer taking a huge amount of damage. Clear trying to be relevant in this game, but eventually just dies. Did buy some time for the team, I guess, but the team is not faring any better either, as in goes Dudu, Raptor in a ton of trouble, and Dudu actually is unkillable. Light's trying to bait them into more, as somehow, yeah, Kellen eventually did go back and die in that fight. So DNS, a pretty solid lead at this point.
This Jace pick just is not landing the way that they wanted it to. I think it certainly could have had some of those mid ganks not gone the way they did.
Yeah, and I feel like you can replace Jace with also Lilia and Jax. So the whole top side for BNK is just flopping big time.
The Jhin is working decently well, but there just isn't anything to set the Jhin up when these frontliners are so low. The Jax is relatively squishy in this game, it feels like, and the Jace obviously always will be. As Kellen's angle here, watch Closer. Like, he gets hit by so much.
Shockless missed him.
Yeah, that's the big difference maker. And then Clear tries to be relevant, but he's there alone. Diablo can't really impact the play anymore. And there's just no way to hit Shock Blast anymore after the fight is lost. And had Vikla tried to like go all in on life, it would have been a clean ace, I think. Instead, it's still a massive win as DNS pull ahead of BNK.
BNK, yeah. You know, Wolf, at the beginning of the day, we were like, it's feeling more like the year of Vikla nowadays. I feel like the year of Dudu is back.
Yeah, it's a little back.
I think it's kind of back.
Slightly back.
Dudu was playing Dusante last game. You remember, he was popping off.
Yeah.
This game, he's like taking another step forward. I'm back on the Dudu, the year of Dudu hype train.
Like I said at the beginning of the day, you know, where do these players roll on their individual performances game to game? really does matter, especially Pyosik and Dudu.
All right, and now they're going to get a pick on a Duck Dom, one of the guys who actually is decently farming this one, and he's just dead. So there's that pick potential.
Not quite able to flash over the wall there in time. I think it was the right call not to use it in ways. And that is going to be mid-turret, so that's a significant pick.
Yeah, and Diablo's 4-0.
Yeah, puts a huge dent in the gold. Like, it is just going to be a game like that is decided by some crazy fight that doesn't make sense, isn't it, Valdez?
Yeah, you knew it.
Like I don't think it's going to be.
Convince me.
I don't think it's going to be an elder flip either. I think it's just going to be some weird, bizarre fight. Something like this, but with everybody involved.
Where one person kind of gets a little bit caught, but then it baits everybody in.
Yeah, like it's the type of fight where there's 4 TPs on the ground.
Yeah.
And you're like,
I know exactly. I know exactly the type of fight you're thinking of, and I think that's exactly what we're
It's like a shootout in an old 90s movie where like the bullets are flying comically.
Yeah.
Someone's hiding behind cover that definitely wouldn't protect them in real life, and they just hold out a few more seconds.
Yeah. There's like 20 extras with machine guns in the back, like firing fake guns.
And like Clear is the character who's like really scared to. He only has a pistol. He's really scared to get involved, but he wants to protect somebody, so he tries to go in and look for a Counter-Strike angle, but ultimately gets blasted by a Sejuani ult or something. It's gonna get wild.
I do feel like eventually Clear will exist. You know, he's given enough time.
He needs to hit the turrets, so the more they leave him alone, the more powerful he will feed on the minions and on the. He will feed on the E. He will not feed on the P. You know, he's PvEing a little bit, and he's getting away with it. But they're going to take the Baron, and now Raptor with no flash, difficult for him to get in here and impact this. Dudu also going to hold this angle here. I think they can, if they play this slow, hold this Baron.
Yeah, like you mentioned, I just don't think there's a very good in for BNK, and they're trying to kill Rek'Sai. That's not going to happen. Maybe if they have a lot of time with him, which it looks like they will. There's the shutdown, though, and DNS pulled off the Baron. It was on like 6K. I thought they could have just taken the Baron, but instead, they tried to help out Dudu. Dudu dies.
And it's the old switcheroo.
Yeah.
Life is also going to die. And if it wasn't a Jhin composition, they would probably consider doing the Baron themselves right after that.
Jax is back.
Jax is...
Backs.
Getting closer to being back. He does TP in. And look at this, 6,500. The sleep here.
Finish it. Just do the
double sleep, but I think they can just keep doing it.
They're like turning off to help Dudu who's already dead.
Yeah, I think Dudu's plan was to buy them time to do the Baron, not to kill the Leona.
It's another fight where it's so obvious that the communication is just totally off. Like, I feel like if DNS figured out the communication, to be honest, I think it is better than last year. But it's still, it's
not a high bar.
It's not good enough. It's not good enough for the LCK when we're doing stuff like that.
Okay, Clear. A little bit of extra time. That's not a Dusk and Dawn Counter-Strike, but we'll take it. Eventually, we'll auto all those last minions down and take them out. So, Baron's still up. We reset. Third Dragon looking like it's going to be a potentially 25-minute plus in this game. Very slow on those bottom side objectives, and this one's been a little bit more about the fights and scraps and sides. The shield bow is done for closer. When he hits that third item, he is going to be a real big threat. It's not quite there yet. Duckdom also in this game does a ton of burst despite being 3,000 gold behind. I think he's still very relevant. And here comes Clear on Baron.
Yeah.
PvE.
I wanted to mention BNK's Baron is actually really fast.
Yeah.
They don't even need, as is quite obvious here, they only need a couple of guys because, yes, the Jace would be a nice influx of damage, and they're going to slowly add people, but there's just no vision, and BNK are just taking this objective. We got TP in a mid. That's way too late. And that is Baron straight up for BNK. First Hextech Drake to DNS, they'll take it, but I think BNK are liking the choice.
I mean, Raptor has so much damage on this Lilia, and Clear does a ton as well, and he can just tank. They can basically two-man that without any issue. And as soon as DNS just don't respond, they rotate everyone else over, take it for free. Now this Jax is in the side lane with Baron, and those plates, he's looking for him in the bottom lane. Could even try to collapse, try to make a play onto closer if he wants to really try to defend this and play through it. You see some Baron empowered recalls here, so DNS will have a few moments to get their composure together. But I think if you look at this scenario here, closer's like, I can 1v1 you, but this is not going to be that kind of fight. Pioshik is looking for an angle here, potentially over the wall.
Yeah, they're trying to set this one up. on a clear, but they do it in a counter-strike, and Vikla is here as well. The ult hits the chase, and all of a sudden, Vikla's in a lot of trouble. Life gets over first, as is expected from this Pantheon, and it's a double kill, actually, for the support Pantheon. Meanwhile, Diablo's like, I don't care what my team's going to do. I'm 5-0. I'm taking this mid lane turret with a Baron, okay? We have Baron. We're going to do something with it. And he's actually doing a nice job to Dudu as well.
It's like the arc in the anime we were talking about before, where he remembers his master once said, the most important thing is to kill the Nexus. He's like, oh, I can shoot the turrets. While they're fighting bottom side, I'll take my chance.
Yeah. It is pretty important in League of Legends to kill the turret, or the Nexus rather.
He does end up getting that turret and gets a lot more money. He's 3,500 gold ahead.
It's so far ahead of the second person.
Well, it's like so goofy that we have a super fed Jhin, a super fed Rek'Sai in this game, and then everything else is super wonky and lopsided around everywhere else. The Jace is only 250 gold behind despite being down 3 kills. Time spent aside. This looked a little bit wonky on Pyroshik's ult. Like, it looked like it wasn't going to hit, actually, but ultimately it does here, and so that's enough. The follow-up is so immense with the Pantheon ult coming through as well. End up getting 2 picks here. In exchange for the mid turret and 3 plates to this fed Jhin. So can you kill the Jhin? Is the question that DNS are going to be asked as we move into these next few Dragon fights. As they are doing a pretty good job with the wave clear that Ziggs does offer at defending this Baron. Not really going to be the craziest one we've ever seen.
It's a lot of pen from the Ziggs already. Going Ludens into Shadowflame Void Staff. Definitely wants to cut through this front line, which, to be honest, they don't have a ton of MR, but...
There's some Merc Treads.
Yeah, you got some Merc Treads in there. I'm sure Leona eventually, you know, he's got Eclipse and stuff like that. So it helps you cut through that front line regardless. And maybe he just goes for Deathcap next, but...
If we played the Challengers game, who do you think wins this game from right here, like this exact game state? Because right now,
my money's on BNK for sure. Right as I say that, the Year of Vikla, again, canceled for now, but he is going to be able to flash away. Year Dudu is on his way up, but the collapse is coming in from BNK. Closer by himself. Nothing is hitting, finally. He's going to go for the QSS, but you would imagine eventually he just goes down. But same fate will go over to Vikla, who dies on the left. Down goes Closer basically at the same time, and now we're engaging onto the Pantheon, who does throw the shield up, but the Jhin again is so doing so much damage, needs to actually hit some shots, waits for the stun, nicely done, and now they're on the chase, and this is where Lilia is so strong, but
I thought that was going to be it, Valdez. I thought that was the fight. Right, like 2 minutes before the Dragon, Baron's not up. Well, somebody gets caught in the side lane.
No reason
I thought that was so I asked you the question. It doesn't leave us with any more conclusions than what we already have. Both mid laners are dead. Clear does not have vision of what's in the brush, nor do we.
There are people there.
Yeah, they did stay, but he did not, so...
The right side.
I kind of want to go the other way. I kind of want to say I think DNS is going to get it because fate almost dictates that in this very crazy and unhinged game that we would lead to 5. And I do think that their comp is pretty simple to execute, as you can see in this, because I think if this is a very different team comp where they don't have a long-range Ziggs, like if this is an 80 carry here, I'm like, do you actually ever really be able to even walk up here and do anything? Duckdom is just trying to offer some damage and offer some zoning as they kind of kite back here. The ultimate comes out from the Jhin. Clear wants so desperately to get to the backline, but it can't actually close the gap onto the Ziggs, so a Satchel. It feels like this game is going to be super volatile till the end, as we're almost 30 minutes in. And anything could happen. The gold lead practically isn't even real at 1,500. And this Jhin isn't set up for success. Like, he's 6-0 and 5K gold ahead, but he doesn't have the greatest front line to set up for him. So does it really matter?
I think he sets himself up if he's that fed. Maybe. Unless he just dies.
Or just tries to solo kill the Rek'Sai. And it takes half the health bar away, but okay, now what? Now what? This game is very fun.
Just auto them, I guess. And yeah, at least both of our teams have kind of come to their senses and realized, hey, you know, it is still Hextech Soul. Oh, that's a big hit from Vikla. And we haven't had a lot of fights where we're actually setting up, you know, and poking each other, and it makes sense. but it's beginning to make sense a little bit here as the combo's going to miss here on a closer. Pilshik getting super low, and Clear's just getting in there, zoning them all away. The Drake does go the way of Pilshik, but Duckdom already down. Raptor gets the Zhonya's out, and that's the sleep on a closer right as he goes in. Does land the knockup, as it's only Dudu though at the end of the day, and he is cleaned up. 9,000 damage from Diablo as he goes down, and BNK take a big fight.
The pings to mid, but some pings to Baron as well. I think they would like to end here with these long death timers, but they've got the minion wave so far back at their inner, they just have to settle for Baron. The critical thing in this fight is actually the Jax finally actually relevant. Gets on top of Duckdom for the first time.
Real.
Look at him. Flashes, he's real. And they spent so much time trying to set up to deal with Raptor's setup to look for a big sleep, right? They were looking for their own massive Yone angle. It was just the Jax that gets on top of the Ziggs that is really what sends this team fight into disarray. That's really the only real damage threat here. You know, the Yone requires so much more setup. And it's just taken out so quickly. And he's so far behind anyways. But that does end up being BNK winning the fight. Soul point to DNS on this Hextech Soul. Baron goes over, but they can defend with Ziggs. I feel like we're kind of going in circles a little bit here, but BNK still in a really nice position. I do like their position. It is favorable at the moment, but I'm not ready to trust that they've got this one in the bag that kept being discussed earlier.
Yeah.
They're like, he's still super behind. I'm like, yeah, but I mean, that fight was about Clear killing the Ziggs. Yeah,
It's clear that you know, these two teams have different win conditions at this point in time, and okay, Ult's going to come out here on a Vikla. There's the big bomb from Duckdom.
You can feel that he is not the one that's 6,000 gold ahead with that ult coming through.
He doesn't really do a whole lot, and that's a lot of consistent damage kind of lost. If you're Ziggs, you know, still looking at that death cap, desperately wants to get it, but he's probably like 2k gold off, and that's way too far away at this point in the game, which BNK are really trying to pressure as much as possible. And Vikla's actually hitting stuff now, as is Diablo. Jesus! His life has to put up the door. And now we're just throwing ults every which direction, just throwing them off of the wave.
He has no mana. He's like trying his hardest to clear these Baron waves. He's used his whole mana bar. He interrupts the ult, but has to now walk away and get his mana back before he can do anything else. And this is looking like it's likely to be 2 inhibitors to fall here. Great siege from BNK. And it could just lead to an end if they could find an angle here. Duckdom has to do so much heavy lifting. He's so far behind.
Ooh. And that's the combo, the Jace and the Jhin. You don't get to exist anywhere near the wave. And yeah, they take down the 2 inhibitors. They're looking for a bit more. You can see that Duckdom, really the onus is on him to do some damage. Diablo just kind of tanking everything, flashes away, dies to the Pantheon, and that is a massive pick. And a ton of gold to go over to Life. Is it enough though, as we still have the Jace? Dudu though is gonna get in that back line. As you see, they're trying to peel for him desperately. Kellen not quite able to land the stun, but at least they ward BNK off for now.
Yeah, Duckdom's like, as soon as I get my buttons back, I will get him. They can't get away with it. I just need my buttons back. I need my mana back. I'm going to go back to the fountain. And that is going to be the end of the Baron push, at least the significant push that they had going. The damage was done, but they cannot end the game. As Diablo gets satcheled, then caught here by Pioshik, then Pantheon stunned. And then Closer gets on top of him. Ziggs bomb, unfortunately, a little bit wasted. But they really wanted to kill the 6,000 gold ahead Jhin, and they did. And that put all the wind out of the sails here for this composition in terms of the siege. They're still massively ahead. And as you can see, getting a little bit more value out of the last part of that Baron layer on the top side. 2 inhibitors fall. And now DNS not poised to contest this next dragon, but they're the ones with 3-1 Drake, so they don't necessarily have to show up to this dragon. They can just kind of hope that to utilize it to buy time for their inhibitors to respawn, ultimately. Yes, Diablo is very ahead.
Yeah, it looks like he wants to pick up a GA at this point, which, honestly, probably a good idea. I mean, if the entire enemy team is going to throw everything at you, might as well come up if you do actually get caught, especially now that he doesn't have his flash. And, of course, they have to fight for the next bunch of Drakes that do come through. They cannot give this Hextech Soul over lest we get another big comeback.
The lead in the top lane, which was the only lead for DNS, no longer really a thing.
Diablo, no flash. He's just being bullied once again, and yeah, he does get away, but now he's not really part of this fight all that much. He's trying to back up and land an ult, but they're just gaining distance now as finally he's able to open up the curtains and does a minuscule amount of damage.
The question is that enough to grab this dragon? And I think it probably is. I mean, we're 35 minutes in. They have so much damage with this Lilia. There's just no way we're going to see a contest, and they still have to deal with the super minion. So even though he almost got picked, you could argue his ultimate just means there's no follow-up, and they end up getting this dragon. The Ziggs that's so far behind really struggles to be the cherry on top finisher in some of these fights. Needs a lot more time. Great at clearing the waves. 2 minutes apiece on these inhibitors is what DNS is going to have to hope for. Baron will be up a minute before that, though, for BNK to take and then start this whole thing all over again. Oh, sorry.
You said it correctly. It sounded like you were going to BNS.
It's because BNK is BFX, and my brain is trained to not say BFX and to say BNK, and then DN leads me to say it. I've had more than one meeting about the sandbox or ex-sandbox tri-codes, and I want to say it right, and then it's bleeding into the other team. But
it's the way it has gone.
I think this game is kind of, it plays itself out from here, right? Barring a huge mistake, BNK just hold this prio with the inhibitors down into a quick Baron take, into sieging again. And at worst case scenario, they even us up like 3 Drakes to 3 Drakes. But surely, 8,500 gold ahead,
surely
they can win from here. All they have to do is follow the recipe. It's been written.
Yeah, I mean,
press tab and see the timers and go, all right, well, this line's up. Baron's up in 5. Their inhibitors are still down. Look at where they're going. They're heading over to Baron. Valdez, who could have predicted they'll do it on spawn.
Yeah. I mean, we've seen some crazy things in the last couple of weeks, but I think we should have faith in this one.
DNS are not going to just let them have it, but this will probably be the last fight of the game. Look at the flank here from Clear. If he gets on top of Duck Dom again, that will spell the end of any opportunity for DNS.
Spotted by Dude's scanner there. I did think they would just, you know, hard force Baron and go for a turn if necessary, but
instead they're just kind of letting DNS slow this down. Inhibitor's going to respawn pretty soon. A lot of vision, as you guys can see here.
And eventually somebody's going to have to face check. It will be Dudu.
That shock blast pretty revealing.
Yeah. As it is getting pretty low. Pyosik trying to get on into the pit, and there he goes. He's going to be stunned up. They want to turn on to the Sejuani as the smite goes to the Lilia and BNK. Pyosik super low, but he's the tank, soaking a lot of damage. Clear trying to frontline here, and with the counter-strike, I think it's good enough. But Vikla in a really rough spot already goes down. Sonya's also already burned here. Raptor barely able to take out the Ziggs, as now the ult comes through. Kellen in trouble. Diablo trying to kite this one out, and I think he just does too much damage, although his frontline is disappearing. He's able to disappear the enemy team.
That was insane from Diablo. He's just like, nah, doesn't matter. That was very Indiana Jones-esque. Nice sword. Shoots him in the face. See you later, Yone. 8-2 on this 6,500 gold ahead. Jin in this one. And it was a nice desperate attempt from DNS. They were almost able to bring it to 5. There were certainly some moments in this game where it looked viable. That Jax looked like it wasn't going to do anything, but the Ziggs alone, not enough damage this far behind, and BNK will take the win for Group Elder, putting them at a 4-win lead, or 4-point lead, with the +2 they gained from this best of 5.
Yeah, feeling pretty good about their position now, and yeah, I mean, what can you say about DNS? I feel like just their start in this series was a little bit too slow. And by a little bit, you know, there were so many mistakes, honestly, that BNK were doing in games 1 and 2 that just went unpunished because, well, DNS just weren't in a mental or game states to be able to punish it. And so BNK got away with a lot. They got 2 wins. They got punished in game 3, and game 4 was definitely closer. So we have to give DNS some credit. But, yeah, BNK staying true to themselves, playing very similarly throughout the series and able to net the win in the end. And, you know, somewhat expected results. We had a lot of 3-0, 3-1 Preds. And it ends up being that way here for BNK.
Somehow I feel robbed because I wanted this to go to 5 just to see how chaotic it could have gotten. But I think the deserved winner was BNK. They deserved to win this one. They played much better through the mid game here. Even though their comp was kind of finesse, Diablo was so ahead that it didn't necessarily matter. And the Ziggs just could not hurt the bad guys. It was unfortunate for Duckers. Diablo got a huge cheer. You guys probably heard it when he was put on camera. I think had a phenomenal series. Even though Clear really started this series off explosively, I think with the performances we saw from Diablo across the wins, he was just more consistent. And ultimately ended up getting my vote. I really thought I was going to be voting for Clear here, but did not do enough in those last 2 games.
You can see that palm wheel there was landing on Diablo bot lane as well. So I would not be surprised to see, you know, 12 out of 13, 13 out of 13. You never know with some of the voters we have. But either way, feeling pretty good about Diablo picking it up, and Group Elder does move 4 points ahead. Feeling pretty good about their position, but we'll have to wait and see what happens when T1 and Genji do play.
Yeah, there are some big bounce back opportunities, as this early game was so chaotic, but Diablo was the big benefactor of this huge error of judgment by DNS. Picked up those 2 kills that was able to just basically say, look, I have unlimited frontline in this game. I am so large that no one can really touch me. And he spent most of this game 5-0. Took that turret out in the mid lane. Just such a big problem to deal with. Ends up getting shut down here, but I think that was his first death of the game. But he just is so huge on that Baron fight. This fight was the one where they finally got him. Stayed alive a little bit. But I want to watch the final fight again on Baron, because that was the craziest one. Where it looked like maybe Closer did it, but no. Diablo, look at his shots here. On 4th shot, reloading now. Baron is secured. Opens his ult up. And then Closer has an opportunity here.
All Kellen is saying is just hit the front line.
Yeah. Look at this. Diablo just walks down and shoots him in the face.
Yeah, if you're not CCing this Jhin, he will just wipe your whole team at this point in the game.
Actually, crazy damage.
Pretty much any AD carry, but Jhin as well. And he ends up doing the most in the game. Even Vikla had more than Duckdom. I mean, Duckdom put up some numbers, but again, it just wasn't effective damage in the fights. And they really had trouble finishing off some of the targets in the late game, so felt like they just fell off a cliff eventually. Around the 30-minute mark, you can see it there on the gold difference graph as well, as we are definitely going to be giving Diablo his player of the match, and we'll be hearing from him. And yeah,
I think
everything kind of makes sense today, Wolf.
Yeah, I think this is the result everyone expected. Maybe the journey was a little bit different than we thought. Maybe some people expecting this was going to be a little bit of a more one-sided affair, but I think the reason why BNK ended up playing those games as sloppily as close as they were is because they were limit testing. Like you said, they almost treated this like a scrim. You know, they were just really trying to put the extra weights on in this one and see how hard they can make it and still win. Is kind of what it felt like.
Yeah, and it's very much in their wheelhouse to do exactly that, right? To just kind of send it and see what you can get, try to push their limits, and they certainly did. So could have been, you know, more of like a boring 3-0 if BNK were a little bit more passive, but we don't need any of that. They have a best of 5 to finish it off in the end anyway. So feeling pretty good about their position now in Group Elder, sitting at 3-2 with just DK potentially to get ahead of them if they end up winning. And yeah, feeling pretty good for Group Elder as well.
Yeah, it certainly is. And this young player has already accrued so many fans. You and I were casting him when he was like 15 in Challengers. And now he's here in the LCK, already had a phenomenal rookie year and is looking even better here in his second. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how far he can go.
Yep, that's the only question. Let's head on over to the stage to hear from Diablo right now.
LCK Thank you very much, guys. This is Dear for the POM interview translation. We are here with Diablo on the side of BNK FearX, who came out on top in the battle of 4th seeds.
지를 받은 POM을 받은 디아블 선수와 이야기 나눠보겠습니다. 승리 축하드립니다.
Congratulations!
네, 오늘 DN 스포츠를 상대로 3대1 승리를 가져가게 됐습니다.
Against DN Supers, a 3-1 victory. So Elder Group is now 4 points ahead. How do you feel? We won today? I think I'm pretty happy about it. It looks like you had a big contribution to the Elder Group. And in Game 1, your Lucian would just dash forward for those playmaking angles. So from a spectator's point, it was very anxiety-inducing. But were those plays just simply calculated? Yeah, I think I try to be more mindful when it comes to making plays, but I felt like I have to prepare myself for those bigger stages, bigger games and matches. So I really wanted to be a little more bold today. You know, everyone's wondering, can you see with this hairstyle? What is the meaning behind it? It's because I am too lazy to go to the salon. For Game 2, after taking the early lead from the laning phase, you snowballed the game impeccably. And it feels like with the same roster, you guys are building this team chemistry. It's really clicking now. So do you guys feel the bond as well? Yeah, I think it has improved a lot since last year. So when do you feel it the most? Well, first of all, whenever you play the game with the team, I feel like we are really getting those moments to turn things around often, more often than before. And right before Game 3, DN Super subbed their support and Life was swapped in. So what did you guys discuss as a team? No Life as a player? Tries to pull those pocket picks, and I think we were definitely expecting him to take that Pantheon. And that Game 3 was an unfortunate loss, so what did you try to focus on for Game 4? I think in terms of the enemy, I think we were really trying to focus on the Ziggs and Pantheon. And I think we just try to go for those value picks and just farm out and look for the late game. And in Game 4, you guys took Jace as the first pick on red side, and it looks like he was flexed to mid lane after seeing the enemy comp. So what was the thought process? Yeah, he was supposed to be used for jungle, but Dekla in the mid lane, he said that is a really good matchup. And he said he was pretty confident, so yeah. I think we're just really going for also that AP jungle for Raptor as well, so that's what we solidified. And it looks like you managed to steadily turn things around after a tough early game in Game 4. And if you were to die, the game would have went the wrong way. So were you getting clammy or nervous at all? Well, today, I came to show that kind of play. So, I had been practicing, and since the stage was set up for me, I think it was just my moment to shine. And you won the Rookie Award last year. And we can tell that you are growing steadily as a player, and this is year 2 for you. So what mindset do you have this season? Compared to last season, I have the mindset of, trying more and just becoming a better player. I'm just trying harder. And now in tomorrow's match between Nongshim and KT, if KT wins, the group battle will conclude in favor of the Elder Group. So any word of encouragement? I think if KT players, if they win, it would guarantee play-ins. So I hope that you guys keep your spirit up and fighting. And any word for your fans? There's so many people who come to see us. And this time around, compared to last year, I think we concluded as 10th place, but I want to make sure that we have a better result than last season. And that's the end of the interview with Diablo, and back to the space. Thank you!